was 109 or not, but the grass seemed to agree with me. It was all brown, so everything's dying. Before we get started with our regular agenda, we are going to first say that Councilmember Stephanie O'Banion is joining us remotely. You can see her on the screen from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I just want to make sure that she can hear us and we can hear her. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep, we can hear you. All right. Also, just going to ask you for your permission that if you were to drop off or lose connection, that we would be able to continue the meeting without you.
I guess. Of course.
All right. Official arm twisting done. She will let us proceed if she has to drop off or if the connection is severed. Also, we're going to do a couple of things first. First is Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Daniel Bucher. That's to the U.S. flag. We will then have the Texas pledge led by City Clerk Amy Casey. And then John Holmes will give our invocation. So if you would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in the Texas pledge.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, just come to you today for guidance, wisdom. Help us to serve our community. Help us to lead. Keep the citizens of this community in mind as we deliberate tonight's events. Please be with those who are fighting fires or serving on EMS or police, those serving abroad and domestically. Help us honor you in all we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, with that, we will call our meeting of August 25th to order at 5:32 p.m. The first item on our agenda is public comments. Note on public comments as well as public hearing, which will also have public comments, but on agenda items, this is for non-agenda items. Again, the note is that we have a 3-minute time limit. Councilmember Dave Covington is the timekeeper, and he will just raise his hand when you have 20 seconds, not 20 minutes, 20 seconds to land the plane. If you don't land the plane, someone will shoot you down. And so anyway, just giving you a warning on that. So I have two people that signed up for public comments. One is for an agenda item. So Taryn, we will call you on the strategic plan item number 19. And then I also have Woody Durbin who signed up on the budget. We are discussing a budget, but do we have public comments in it? Okay, so we'll allow for Woody to make his comments at this time. So again, we all know who Woody is, but name and address for the record. And then
Grumpy, 308 East 20th Avenue, Belton, Texas. I'm here basically because I get my 3 minutes. I went and kind of argued the value of my home again this year. Been several years, but it goes up and up and up and up and up, and that trend has not stopped. The 26 years I've lived in that house. And 8 months, I'm sure it's gone up again. But you can't fight this. I want to know when somebody will step up and start a reversal. I only know of maybe 2 times we actually did a rollback in those 26 years, maybe. I could be lying because you news people do all the time. No, that's a joke. Anyway, I educated my kids debt free. They're both in their masters and they're both working their fields. A memory yesterday in Facebook was 17 years ago. I moved them both back to A&M, my son's 3rd year, my daughter's 1st year. Anyway, I did those things rather than redo my house. So this year they told me I could devalue my home if I prove some things, which not updating it to me is, but I'd have to prove it. And why would I do such a thing? It's sad. We're going the wrong way with taxes. You keep saying no new rate, and the no new rate is a lie because the value's gone up every year. And I've got 26 sheets that say that. No, you don't have much to do with that, but at one point, somebody has to take the bull by the horns, quit reaching for whatever stars we're grabbing for. We're a little town. We don't have to keep up with Temple. I hate to even say that. That's not true. But at some point, when do we go backwards a little bit?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Woody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gotta go watch the World Series.
Thanks for the 3 minutes. You paid for it. Yeah, and just for educational purposes, if you go to protest your taxes, you can do that. As Woody said, you're welcome to. We encourage you to make sure you get the right value on your home because that's what's used for the rate that we set. We set the rate, not the appraised value. It's the combined both that sets your bill. And I would also encourage everyone to educate themselves on what we can control in this body is our tax rate and what it has done over the last 2 decades compared to our neighbors. Once you educate yourself on that, we would encourage any public comments on that. So just FYI. And by the way, we have gone down. And so, all right. Any other public comments? All right. There being no other public comments, we are now back to school. Kids started session here in the last week or two, depending on which school you go to. I have got a proclamation that I will read. Dan Kirkley and some of his volunteers are here, the back to school prayer. Because there's a mic here, I'm going to read it from here, and then I will meet you down there, Dan, or whoever your representative is. So from the Office of Mayor, a proclamation, whereas the beginning of a new school year is an important time for students, teachers, administrators, parents, family throughout our community, and whereas education plays a vital role in strengthening our community, and whereas the annual Back to School prayer event will be held on Sunday, August 30th, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., bringing members of the community together in prayer for students, teachers, administrators, and everyone who supports the schools, and whereas during this time of prayer, we will ask God to surround our students, teachers, and administrators with safety, protection, wisdom, strength, and guidance, and as they begin the new year. And whereas the city of Belton recognizes the importance of coming together as a community to support our schools, and to encourage those who dedicate themselves to educating, guiding, and caring for children. Now, therefore, I, David Lee, Mayor of the City of Belton, do hereby proclaim August 30th, 2026 as Back to School Prayer Day in the City of Belton, and encourage our community to join together in this noble effort. Thank you, Dan. Does somebody want to say something about that? Yeah.
We're 26 years old with the internet system. We're doing something entirely different this year. We're meeting at every school, Temple, Belton, Troy, we got Academy, and Buckles. And in Clayton, you got a couple of them next year. But we are so excited to be able to literally go to the school, at the school, and pray. We'll be there from 6 to 6:30. And I would just say, if you have a school you live nearby, a relative that's in school, but you would like to join us, come be there at 6. We'll be there until 6:30. We're not going to do a long time, but pray. We bless our children, our families, and thank you.
Yeah, take care of it. Yeah. Here you go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Bless you.
Right. Next on the list is our consent agenda. Items 4 through 10 can be enacted by a single motion. I believe we will be probably removing one or more of those for separate consideration. I will read them all into the record, and if a council member wishes to remove one, they may do so at the end of reading these. So for the record, item 4 is adopting the minutes of the July 28th council workshop and the July 28th council meeting. Item 5 is adopting a resolution canceling the November 10th city council meeting because we are going to the Texas Municipal League. Item 6 is adopting an ordinance reducing the speed limit from 60 to 45 miles per hour on South Loop 121 in Belton city limits between I-14 and I-35 during construction of the South Loop 121 widening project. If you want to wait around for some more construction, there's another place to go stand in line. Item 7 is authorizing an allocation from the municipal hotel occupancy tax for the Bell County Museum Restoration Project for historical restoration and preservation projects to encourage visitation of preserved historic sites or museums. Item 8 is authorizing the Belton Economic Development Corporation to enter into an economic development performance agreement with Wild Millers LLC and Miller Smokehouse for a building life safety grant. And item 9 is adopting a preliminary plat and a final plat for phase 1 of the Tyler Ridge subdivision comprising approximately 75 acres located on West FM 436. And item 10 is authorizing the city manager to execute an interlocal agreement with Bell County regarding platting authority within Belton's extraterritorial jurisdiction, the ETJ. I would like to pull item number 7 for the hotel occupancy and the museum. Anyone else wishes to pull an item?
David, I was going to pull that same item.
Okay, yes, definitely same item. Thank you.
Move we approve items 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second to adopt consent agenda items 4 through 10 without 7 or sans 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. All right. So, Sam, you want to?
Thank you, members of the council. We really excited today to bring an item to you. We have a number of representatives from the Bell County Museum, and Coleman is here as well, the executive director. We've received a request from Bell County Museum to provide for some funding for the maintenance and preservation of the museum. We're very fortunate to have the museum in our community. Just a handful of those structures remain. And you can see kind of the status of those, only 4 operating libraries and 9 other uses. One of those is the museum here. The museum was built in 1905 and needs some structural and facade improvements to address the preservation. The request originally submitted included a total of $85,000 for the items identified. First, some analysis of the building totaling $40,000, and then some specific repairs, remediation, and beautification of the structure, totaling $85,000. We do have, as you well know, in our budget, the hot tax, hotel occupancy tax, and those funds are exclusively provided for a number of different uses. One of those being historic restoration and preservation for tourists to visit the museum. There is a state limitation on those dollars of a maximum of 15% of annual revenues coming to the fund. So I've discussed this with Judge Blackburn and recommended that we split this into 2-year funding cycle, $40,000 in this fiscal year and then $45,000 in next year. Certainly a great use of those funds. Museum is a tremendous asset for tourism and for visitation in the communities. You can see the numbers there, over 75,000 in just the last few years. So we strongly support this use of the hot tax funds, a perfect resource for that operation and for the benefit of not only of Belton, but Bell County and the entire region. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have at this time.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Sam? Any comments?
I have several comments, but Dave, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I don't know if anybody else is starting to speak or not, but really excited about the project. Love the museum. They've been a tremendous partner and stakeholder in our tourism efforts for many, many years, as displayed by our ongoing support of their activities and helping market them as well. My concern is not with the museum or the project itself or Bell County or anything. In fact, I think that the project should be funded. My concern continues to be with just our overall process for using hot funds. I mean, here is another large expense on the consent agenda, no less, funding decision without an adopted tourism plan. And I think everyone has heard me ask over and over for a tourism strategic plan, and we still don't have one that can help us guide our decisions with our hot tax. And that if that's not a desire of our city and our council, then I think that's something worthy of a discussion as well. But I have concerns with I mean, this will be the second largest or a second very large funding decision we've had in the last year. $100,000 for a logo that I expressed then as part of an overall marketing strategy, which is technically part of a tourism strategic plan, which we don't have. And so I'm again supportive of the project and certainly supportive of the museum. It's unfortunate that we don't have a strategic plan in place that actually highlights our strategy and our vision for incorporating the museum in our future efforts. So again, I'm asking for a tourism plan. I'm asking for us to spend some time on vision on the hot taxes and how those should be spent. This is well within a legal use of those funds. There's no question about that. It's about, is it the right use right now without a plan? So again, I just take this opportunity to say we desperately need a tourism strategic plan. I've been asking for it for nearly 2 years now. And so I'm just a little disappointed we're spending such a large amount of money out of that fund again without a plan in place. Visiting our historic sites and maintaining our treasures like the Carnegie Library and the service that they provide our visitors is something worthy, and I support 100%, but I'm concerned about our overall process, how we're moving forward with these funding decisions without a plan in place.
Stephanie. Any other comments?
Yes.
Questions?
The only question I have, I didn't see, this isn't 100% funded by us. This project's not just 85,000, or it is 100% funded by, well, us, our hotel motel tax.
I read it as 100%, and that's a good question.
The total request is 85,000 and the request to us is $85,000. And so we're proposing to split that over 2 years.
And so
The total cost of the project is 85,000.
Correct.
And so they'll fund the full project and then we will reimburse those fundings over the next 2 years. Or they'll run wait till the 2 years and then fund the project.
I mean, our thought was after this funding allocation is made, we would make that contribution to them at this point in time, the 40,000.
Yeah.
And then as we move into the next year, we'll provide.
I think the
because
question is the two sides of the equation. There's the cost of doing the renovations and then there's the payment that we're making. I think that's the question.
yeah, I'm not saying it. This is the total project cost. Like, we're not asking for, they're not, whoever's at the county's asking for 85,000, but then after they do the study and all these assessments, there's going to be another ask for more project money, or this
the,
it?
the total request was the analysis totaling $40,000, and study and structural assessment, and then the repairs that they had identified in the background information that was provided by the county judge totaled another $45,000. So this is the total request as we're aware of it at this point in time.
Okay.
Certainly something else may emerge, but that's not part of the request that.
I wasn't wondering if this was just a specific ask for us. Bell County's got $300,000 that they're putting in, so it's a $385,000 project, or
Really haven't seen a total project budget. Coleman may be able to speak to that, or someone else, but this is the total funding allocation and request that we've seen, and to the best of our knowledge, the budget itself.
I think that's part of my questions too. And there's, I have several questions around just this. And I mean, I'm just a little concerned that it was on consent without any knowledge ahead of time at all, without any kind of opportunity to discuss and have any kind of conversation about this so that we could be in unison, have our questions answered. I know the county's collecting hot tax now too. I have no idea how we're tracking hotel nights anymore. I just don't know how, I have some questions and some discussion I'd love to have further as we hopefully are moving toward a strategic plan.
Right.
We
The strategic plan, which is another item on the agenda tonight, does have a particular
It's not
focus and
tourism.
emphasis on tourism as we
No.
discussed. And
and we've discussed that. That's a whole separate plan. We've had them before. We just haven't had them in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. So, and if that's something that's again not on the radar of our council and city, then that just needs to be discussed as well. And I'll move on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sam, any other comments, questions?
No, well, yes and no. Refresh me, when somebody pays a hotel motel tax, we get a portion, county gets a portion, state gets a large portion.
Right.
Right?
Correct. Yes.
I guess when I read this packet,
Mhm.
I guess I just assumed we were a piece of a funding mechanism, not the full mechanism. Am I off base on that? Like it's all just our hotel motel tax? And the county's a great partner with us. We
Yeah.
do a lot of things. I just,
In terms of the project that's been identified, the total project cost is $85,000. The request to us is $85,000. There certainly could be more components to the project that have not been identified or priced. Certainly other things that may emerge in the analysis that comes forward, but the request to us is $85,000.
And I also think this could be considered with PERS. There's some other discussions or at least historical funding decisions we've made for items similar that have come from other funding sources. Because again, this is not about the project itself. I think it's worthy and needed, and I'm incredibly proud of our museum. I've just demonstrated that over the years. So it's not that. But this funding conservancy coming all from hot tax with no plan in place. And then I don't know if discussions have taken place about some other potential funding sources like PERS.
Sam, was there any discussion about why we would fund 100% of the project for the Bell County Museum?
I mean, it initially it seemed like a reasonable request. We currently carry about a $1.2 million in fund balance in the hotel motel. That funding was really not available. Obviously, this is available to spend dollars out of the hot tax for these types of uses. The maximum allowance is the 15%. And so again, it felt like a reasonable request for a project that we're very committed to, and certainly in line with our tourism focus to continue the opportunity and the resource that is the Bell County Museum to continue to bring folks here. And so again, $85,000 seemed like a reasonable request with a great partner that we have in other areas.
Museum, the 75,000 that people through those doors with no fee.
Right.
Their lecture series is amazing.
Mhm.
It's a great resource for us, but it's also a little bit of a partnership. Especially if there's some collection of hotel motel tax on the other side as well.
well, yeah, and again, I want to reiterate Stephanie's point to this. This is not a museum issue. This is not what the museum does or is. When I read this thing, it says Bell County is requesting 85,000 to support assessment. To me, that reads there's an overall bigger scope here. Belton, we're asking for a small chunk, but we just had a public comment talk about taxes, and again, this is not property taxes, but I mean everybody's in a crunch, and I get that, and I don't know. I feel we don't own the building. We don't charge admission to the museum. We don't get any of that. I don't. That's where I stand.
I don't think they're going to know what needs to be done until the envelope study and structural assessment is done. And frankly, the other 45,000, not sure that's even enough to put a coat of paint on the whole thing, inside and out. So I'm certain it will turn out to be a much bigger project than this. We've got an excellent relationship with the county commissioners, the commissioners court, and I'm confident there's going to be more needed to complete it all, and that this will turn out to be a good seed corn contribution to get that process going. I do agree with Stephanie that we definitely need a tourism strategic plan in the near term. And that said, I would move that we approve item 7 as presented with the caveat that we prioritize putting together a tourism strategic plan in the near term.
We have a motion?
That's a motion.
Yeah. Just looking for a second.
I'll go ahead and second the motion, with that same caveat. Because I also want to say that there is no doubt in my mind that 100% a tourism plan will include the museum. And this, again, is certainly a legal expense. I don't want to kick a dead horse here, but 2 years been asking for a tourism strategic plan, and I don't know why we don't have one. So I will second this because I believe in our museum. I don't believe we should be funding it at 100%. But again, the county is collecting hot tax as well. I would have liked the opportunity to have more discussion to discuss maybe other funding sources that we could have accomplished the same goal. But I also don't want to prolong, what they're doing. And again, I believe that they'll be a huge part of our tourism plan. And if we can get that commitment to get that going and on the books, I would really be grateful.
I did just have one more question. In my mind, I thought it was a nonprofit that was running the museum. Is this purely run and funded by the Bell County, by just the county?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
county
Okay.
operation.
This lies within the TERS boundaries, right?
It does, yes.
That seems like it might be a good funding source because you've got city-county partnership of funds going into the TERS.
If I'm not mistaken, the TERS recently funded another historical renovation partnership project.
Post office windows.
Windows at the post office, right?
But I thought,
One consideration for the council, obviously, the only thing that is available for expenditure this year is obviously the $40,000, because that's the budget that is in effect right now. If you wanted to just, the question is whether you want to approve the whole 85 or whether you want to approve the 40 and to get the study done and then allow.
The current motion is to approve the full 85. Yeah, so I've held my comment. So we've got several things flowing together, and when multiple rivers, bodies of water flow together, there's typically a little turbulence. So that's why you're hearing a little turbulence. I think the number one that I'll start with is there's still a group, I think it's the Belton Women's Club, that's a book club.
Yes.
And they hearken back to the day when they wrote letters to the Carnegie Foundation to allow for us to have a small public library in this small little town. And so we got one of the Carnegie libraries, and people are still meeting on a weekly basis. That was the nidus for that. And so I think that's number one, and we support that. Belton, the post office and the library were Belton. We went through some funding challenges in the past, and a lot of Belton buildings either became private buildings, were abandoned, or were given to the county to take over. And so this is originally a city building. And so we have a stronger partnership, I believe, in those buildings that at least originated here. And so I think and also because people, so that's the first thing is the origin of the Carnegie Library. I think is an important part of the city of Belton. Many communities that got those libraries are no longer standing. So it's becoming pretty rare to see a Carnegie Library in small communities. And so I think we all agree that that's a good thing. The second thing is when it comes to tourism, 75,000 that come to visit this, and those are officials numbers. I don't know what the unofficial numbers are, but it's a steady drumbeat of tourism. And I think we're all in favor of tourism. The third one is we have a partnership with in the TERS that's both inside and outside. We also have a partnership with the county with Bell County Expo Center and the hotel motel tax. So we have a good partner with the county, and sometimes they come to ask us for some funding. Sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say no. I will say the more times we say no, the more times they're going to say no when we ask them to help for funding. And so I think it's been a good partnership that's not just a give take, it's a give from both sides. So I think that's been good. So I think everything that we're talking about is good. Stephanie brings up a really good point, and it's part of the motion, I might add, that not only approve this, but with the caveat that we go forward and start looking at a tourism strategic plan is I've heard it said that direction, not intention, develops or determines destination. So if you want to get somewhere, it's the direction you're moving, not where you want to go. And I think the concern is these are at least 2 points in direction on tourism that don't necessarily have a plan. Are we going in the right direction? Or are we going in the wrong direction? And I don't think Stephanie's saying we're going in the wrong direction. It's just we continue to do tactical things without looking at the bigger picture. And we're going to also discuss another thing along those lines this evening. So I think she's got a good point that we do need to have a strategic mindset around limited funds. And so it's the turbulence of all these things coming together that to kind of raise this up. But I think at least what I'm getting a sense, I think we all support the county. Also, I agree. I don't think 85,000 is going to be the total project. I think that's just enough to get it going. And then the county will have to start looking at other funding sources, whether it's grants, fundraising, TERS funds, county hotel funds, our hotel. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pots of money, but everybody's going to have their hands in all those pots, as Woody said. And so I think we need to be strategic. But all that to say, I think it's the right thing to go. I think it's the right discussion. Yeah, probably shouldn't have been on consent, but that's okay. It's on consent. We can pull it. It's easy. So
I intend to vote no on the motion. If the motion fails, I would intend to make another motion to fund the 40,000 in hopes of maybe going to the TERS to look for the other 45,000. I think that could be a good way to slice the pie here. And if we fund the 40,000 tonight, that gets them started on the study and assessment.
so was that a mail-in ballot? Like, are we cheating already? You're already saying what I'm gonna.
I'm telling you what my intentions are here. And it's not that I think as everybody has said, I think the museum is fantastic, and I think that we can find a way to fund this. But I think invoking the partnership from TERS would be probably more meaningful. So that's where I'm at.
Everybody loves a good motion to amend a motion, just saying.
Can we amend the motion?
You can.
All right, here we go.
Sorry. So sorry.
I make a motion to amend the motion to fund $40,000 in fiscal year 26 only.
All right. Do we have
Second.
We have a motion, a second to amend the motion to just fund the initial year's portion from hotel motel. Any comments or questions on that amendment?
So that does not take away what Stephanie said about the caveat of must have a strategic plan.
Yeah, all this does is just change the funding amount
Okay.
from 85 to 40 for this year.
Okay.
With the commitment for a tourism plan.
All right. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Now we will go back into the amended motion. The amended motion is to partially fund the request from the county for $40,000 to allow for the envelope study, structural assessment, and that the other funds would come at a later date. And with the caveat that we need to start looking at a tourism strategic plan. Any comments or questions about the amended motion? All
I
right.
have one question.
Yep.
Is there a time frame on there for hot strategic plan? Is there this needs to be done by X?
No, I think honestly, and Stephanie, the bully pulpit, the pressure of the council with staff is going to be the time frame. How much pressure do we put? And so I think the fact that it's coming to a council and not I think that's probably a decent amount of pressure. So I think that would happen.
I think we're not, the item that we're discussing is not a tourism strategic
No.
plan. I think that the suggestion is about as deep as we can get on that.
Yeah, that's correct. Because it's not an agenda
We
item.
started voting on the timeline. I think we're getting out of bounds.
That's correct. Yeah, it would have to be published. So it's just a recommendation. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments or questions on our amended motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Bridge over troubled waters. There we go. Got through.
Thank you
Yeah.
to everybody that's here for the museum.
Yeah. So, yeah, y'all got to do some parliamentary procedure with us. You got an amended motion like that. You the bingo parliamentary procedure. You don't get that every day. All right. Items 11 through 500 are going to take a minute. And so we're going to start with 11. We can only do one at a time. 11 is hold a public hearing and consider a zoning change from commercial highway to thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. Zoning change from commercial highway to planned development commercial highway, PDCH, on approximately 1 acres located at 217 May Street, south of Spring Street on Northeast Avenue B. Ms. Moore.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. To be respectful of your time, I will go through these really fast. I won't take up forever. As you stated, for this item, staff has been working with the applicant for quite some time on the TxDOT improvement plans. So they're aware of all of the improvements that's coming in. And again, it took us a couple of months to go through this to make sure that they were aware of it. For the proposed zoning change, the applicant is proposing 6 duplexes. That would be 12 units off of May Street. This property is on commercial highway. There are some allowances for a multifamily. However, this PD is to clarify that duplexes are allowed and also to set some boundary requirements. So one of the boundary requirements are the lots are 50-foot wide instead of 65 as required for a single family too. Clarifying setback is 25 instead of 60 as required in the commercial highway area. Here's a rendering of what the applicant is looking at. No were sent out to property owners. We received no letters of opposition or support for the project. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the project subject to the conditions on the screen. Again, commercial highway duplexes are allowed, a 50-foot wide lot width is permitted. I will be happy to answer any questions you have, and also the applicant is here should you have any questions for him.
All right, thank you, Tina. Before we start jumping into our questions and comments, this is a public hearing, so I would like to close our deliberation and open the floor. If anyone wishes to speak in favor or against this item, now is your chance to use your 3 minutes that somebody's tax is paid for and discuss this item. If there's no one who wishes to speak, okay, here we go. Name and address for the record.
Bailey Eichenlaw, 510 Creekside Drive, Belton, Texas. I'm the applicant. We're not going to be doing 6 duplexes. We're just going to be doing 5. The 6th lot will be taken away from TxDOT or by TxDOT whenever the expansion happens. So
Okay.
I just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor or in opposition to this item? All right, there being none, we will close the floor and reopen deliberations.
The only thing I notice here, when we look at new traffic circulation and probably traffic count at that point, when this plan that's in here is accomplished, maybe a right turn in, right turn out. I don't know when to do that. If it's now, if you just let TxDOT handle it later, I don't know what the best move there is, but I feel like with that exit and the amount of cars coming from under the underpass, wherever it's going to be, with no stoplight now going to that roundabout to kind of get on, I don't see a left turn out of there being mostly feasible, but it's not a lot of traffic. It's 5 duplexes. So that was really my only kind of.
This is just zoning, right? Not plat.
Yeah, but it's
Yes.
a PD.
That's true.
I mean, this would be the time if you want to, but again, I don't know where it fits.
I guess before we get that far.
Yeah.
Has TxDOT finalized their plan and we know exactly that the layout is gonna be for we just found out about the jug handle and the back way into Central.
This is the most current plan that we have, but certainly there is at least some potential for modification as they do final design. They have not done final design, environmental, all those other issues. This is best information that we have at the moment, basically. And so the applicant has been patient. He submitted the application some time ago. And so he's waited for the plan. I don't know if he's had any discussion with TxDOT about it at this point in time, but this is the best information we have right now, and the zoning request is before you.
That's a question I would ask is.
Yeah, I think honestly, the biggest concern, at least for me, is a lot of times people will say about council or political action, it's like, why did they do that? And right now we have a proposal that is not a final design that's taking Popeyes, Asco, and Taco Bell. Those are underneath the highway. If I look at the jug handle, it's really, you can't get two-way traffic into the jug handle. It's only one-way traffic, that loop that's around. So inside the jug handle, that little teardrop looking thing, I don't think there's going to be much development. I think if you look at the numbers, 2787, 2786, 2788, and this hashed out area, I think are probably going to go more retail. I think that the drive will be to make a replacement for those type of things along this frontage and not family and multifamily. So if we were to approve this without knowing the design, I think somebody would have a legitimate question, why did they do that? And so again, there's a tension between property owners' rights and states' rights. We do not own the highway. We don't really have a whole lot of input on what they do and why. And so I would hate to approve something that ultimately we would have to renege on because of some change in design of, oh, we didn't realize because of these standards, you can't have an entrance or a house or whatever within so many feet of something. And so I just think it's premature. I don't think it's no, never. For me, I think it's a no, not now, because it's still in flux. This is not design. Just
One comment, something the council needs to be aware of, the commercial highway district as it exists right now allows multifamily.
we understand,
And
but
so,
but those are also residences that then they start complaining about all the things. And so typically what you want is multifamily, like you got a gas station. I don't know, let's say along 14, you got a gas station who wants to put some kind of restaurant or maybe sell alcohol in it. And then you have residences behind them. And even then you get some people that are upset, even with the buffer. And so I'm just saying, there would be no buffer.
If I may, there are residential properties that's already existing by there. Most of the properties are,
They're pre-existing in Shirt Tail Bend prior to, there's also an existing Popeyes and an existing Taco Bell that will not be.
sure.
Any other comments or questions on the zoning request?
I share similar concern, not so much about it being duplexes, but throughout this whole process, looking at I-35 and I-14, the only thing that's been consistent is that nothing's been consistent and we still have never gotten a final design. And so I hate for the owner of this property to go through this and all of a sudden he's got that jug handle going through the middle of the property. Because we don't know. Everything TxDOT has told us, pretty much a month or two later, it changes. And so I'm just concerned as the word I feel like it's preliminary. I hate to make a ruling on this when we have no idea what's going to happen with I-35.
I think I understand the concerns. I guess I lean toward that liability of what might happen and the necessary due diligence for figuring out what might happen. I feel like that burden lies on the property owner more than it does us. I'm inclined to allow the zoning change with a proceed at your own risk cautionary word there. I don't think that something like this is inconsistent with what's down there and with what's likely coming. But we don't know.
Yeah.
I think that ahead of the unknown amount of construction, the unknown final plan, we also allowed the Popeyes to go in, the traffic backed up into the access road and blocked thoroughfare at times. I just think there are too many unknowns for me to approve this now. Start building duplexes at the bottom of a jug handle where it's right next to the road. I mean, you have no idea about flow. How in the world will they get in and out during that process? It's just too early for me.
Yeah, the ingress egress for everyone in this neighborhood is going to be difficult during construction because every road will be touched.
And that's a 10-year plan.
Yeah. All right. Comments, questions, or chair would entertain a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve agenda item 11 with the clarification that it is 5 duplex lots, 10 total dwelling units.
All right, second. We have a motion and a second to approve the zoning change with the amendment of 5 units, 10 or 5 structures, 10 dwelling units. Any comments or questions on the motion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All right, passes, I believe, 5-2. I think she voted aye. Stephanie, did you vote aye or? Yeah. Yeah, she voted aye. I was lip reading.
Sorry.
All right, item 12, hold a public hearing and consider zoning change from planned development commercial highway to planned development commercial highway PDCH with specific use permit for a package store on approximately 0.039 acres. That's not very approximate. That seems pretty exact. 0.039 acres located at 7379 West US Highway 190 Suite 101. Ms. Tina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the recently constructed Freshville Market convenience store and the Chevron station that's located off of Simmons and I-35. The request is just to, again, operate a liquor store at the vacant suite that's next to the Freshville Market. That space is 1,742 square feet, hence why the square footage is so small. This property is developed with shared parking, exterior lighting, and screening for the adjacent property owners. There are no churches within the 300 feet that we require. Seems appropriate to staff. Notices were sent out to property owners and you received one detailed notice this morning, and that yellow location is where that property owner resides and has made the comments. With that, planning and zoning heard this at their meeting and recommend approval of the requested zoning change. Subject to the ordinance that was previously passed for the convenience store and to permit a package store in Suite 101.
All right, again, this is a public hearing, so we will close our deliberations and open the floor. If anyone wishes to speak in favor or against this zoning change for the specific use permit for package store, you now have 3 minutes per individual, for or against. Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Catherine Klingler, 1110 West Avenue O, Belton. I'm against this. Historically speaking, Belton has had issues with alcoholism after the war, after the Civil War, prohibition, all of that. So there was women's, there was women that went and kept other women from being abused due to alcoholism. Therefore, that is an area that I have grown up in, and I don't think it would be feasible to have alcohol as accessible as it is to that community. I think it'll be detrimental. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, there being no other comments on this item, we will
Mr.
close.
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry.
may I speak quickly? Sorry about
Look
that.
down and.
I was a little
thanks.
slow jumping
Oh, yeah.
up.
Yes.
Tommy with Shaw Properties, PO Box 1333, Belton, Texas. Here to represent the owners. I think Tina's already explained it pretty good, but they would like to bring more tax dollars to the Belton area. And so that's why they're asking for you to go ahead and approve this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Any others for or against? All right. Going once, going twice. All right. Now we will close the floor and reopen deliberations for this item. Council's turn.
I just had a question. Is this a totally separate unit, or is there, when you go into the gas station, access to walk over to it?
It's a completely separate unit, but I do want to verify. I have seen the remodeling plans, but it's been a moment. It is a completely, from the original construction, it's a completely different suite. So does it have
There's
access
only
to
the
it?
front door.
Correct, front door.
Okay.
But I'll verify the floor plans.
Whenever they are connected, it has to be able to be closed off because there's restricted operating hours. There was some concern from the resident next door about, events and car shows and that kind of stuff. Have we received any police calls or anything like that with stuff going on?
We've shared the information with Deputy Chief Aguirre, and he's here. Chief, would you address that situation?
So our department is aware of the concern. Historically, we have not responded to a high volume of calls for service to this location. Whenever we do receive a call, of course, we send an officer to, assess the situation and take any action they deem necessary. But as of now, yeah, it's not really like a high crime area or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
That was my concern after the note we received, that car show meetings or groups hanging out or whatnot, or if that was still happen with the liquor store on premises. I would hope it couldn't happen.
Well, but it couldn't be consumed. Would it be considered on premises? Like if there was a car show and they purchased from that liquor store, would it be considered to be consumption on premises if it was out amongst the cars at the car show?
Open consumption is illegal.
It's ill, you can't, yeah,
On
you
premises,
can't.
not on premises.
Yeah.
Public
on
consumption.
Liquor store.
Yeah, they can't. I think parking lots included in those places. You can't consume
Okay.
alcoholic beverages in
So
parking lots.
Even if it's sold there, it's prohibited from being
consumed
open,
there.
consumed there. Okay. And you've had no need to take any actions at that location, even with the car shows.
We only have one minute call.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. And there's no requirement if that owner of that property is going to sponsor a car show there. There's no requirement for a permit or anything like that, is there? I mean, he's perfectly within his rights to have a car show there.
Just timing. I think the complaint was about that it was the loud after hours. I think the concern was when it goes to 1 a.m. in the morning, not with it.
Well, that violates our.
That was the complaint I think that came forward, is that they were in violation of our ordinances.
And that's what we would monitor in the future, any violation of existing ordinance, noise, and just the gathering for a car show is not a violation, but just other violations potentially could be.
Any other comments, questions, or the chair would entertain a motion?
Move to approve item 12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 12. Any other comments before we vote? I will make a comment. I think, times change. Some of us, I don't know. Some of us are old enough to remember. Belton was dry until I was a senior in high school. And so no alcohol. We allowed for alcohol purchase at one point where we allowed for restaurants to do it. We actually had the former pastor from the Church of Christ who actually voted for it. He said, I'd be a hypocrite if I voted against it because I go to Chili's and they serve alcohol there. So anyway, so we've seen a change in the demographic. I think the challenge with alcoholism and the easy access to alcohol in certain communities can be detrimental. And I think that's something that we do consider. The reality is this facility already serves alcohol. It's just a different type of alcohol. And so I think that anyway, it's a hard moral question that's really more of a community question. The community did vote for this, and this is a newer area that the community voted for. So it's hard to vote against something the community voted for shortly after they voted for it. And so I think one of the things that we've done is we've tried to use reasonable judiciousness in approaching these. And so anyway, that's just my 2 cents, because I tend to agree that we don't want to create problems with our plans. All right, we have a motion, a second. Any other comments before we vote? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
All right. I think that passed unanimously.
Yes.
It's delayed. Yeah. Yeah. I've played that game and it's always delayed and it's hard and
It is.
it is hard. Sorry, Stephanie. It's
fun.
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's all good. All right. Item 13, lucky 13, another public hearing. Hold a public hearing and consider zoning change from commercial Highway 2 to Office 2 with a specific use permit for a bail bonding agents and services on approximately 0.6 acres located at 3805 South I-35. Ms. Tina.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to point out the property owners are here and family is here. So Cecil and Peggy Smith are here and their daughter Vicky is also here. And the applicant, Ms. Christina Bennett is also here, should you have any question after the presentation. Again, this is changing from commercial 2 to office 2 because our ordinance requires that for a bail bonds office based on amendment that was done back in 2007. And it also requires that all of the activity be conducted indoors. Notices were sent out to property owners. We did receive one letter of support from the property owner, actually. And planning and zoning recommended approval of the zoning request. I'll be happy to answer questions you have.
Again, this being a public hearing, we will close our deliberations, open the floor. If anyone wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this zoning change, now is your time. There being no public comments, we will close the floor and reopen deliberations on item 13.
Try not to make this one hard. I make a motion to approve agenda item as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve agenda item 13 as presented. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
I will slow down. I'm sorry. All right, passes unanimously. All right, item 14. Hold a public hearing and consider zoning change from Plan Development Expo PD 11 Plan Development Commercial Highway to Plan Development Commercial Highway on approximately 101 acres located at 301 and 551 West Loop 121 and properties on South IH-35 Service Road. Ms. Tina.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a proposal to provide consistent zoning requirements for Bell County Expo areas. They have different plan development requirements. PD 11 doesn't have a base zoning, so it's hard to regulate when there isn't a requirement. So again, this is for consistency. County also purchased property along the highway. We also want to recognize that in the zoning change to allow for county type activities to occur there. This was started with an application to add RV parking stations. This is not for overnight accommodation. This is to support activities that's actually happening at the expo center. Whether it's a rodeo and they need to have tractors come in to with the animals is what this proposal is for. Notices were sent out to adjacent property owners. We did receive one letter of opposition. Hopefully you received that. And she is off of Mesquite Road, and that little star is very small, but that is the location of that property. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this zoning request at their meeting. Properties must comply with the commercial highway regulation, and all Bell County owned facility and uses are permitted within this planning development district. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Tina. All right, I think flip the page. Sorry, it is a public hearing. We will close our deliberations, open the floor. Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against this item? If there are no comments, we will close the floor and we will reopen deliberations, and the chair would entertain a motion or comments or questions.
Seems like sensible cleanup work. I move we approve item 14 as presented.
Second.
Motion a second to approve item 14. Any other comments or questions before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, item 15, hold a public hearing and consider a zoning change from light industrial to planned development light industrial on approximately 21 acres located at 702 West Avenue O. Ms. Tina.
And thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is, again, a submittal from the Bell County office. This is for a new office for the Bell County engineers who are relocating from outside of the downtown area to this location off of West Avenue D. This proposal consists of the setback. Light industrial requires a 25-foot setback. They're asking for 18 due to electric easement at the back of the property. This is a little over administrative allowance, 15%. Hence why this is coming forward. As another reminder, the right-of-way width off of West Avenue O is 120 feet, which is really large. Our requirement is only for 80 at that area. So that setback reduction will probably not be noticed because of that large right-of-way. Property owner notices were sent out. There were 2 letters. It wasn't really objections. They just had questions on how it will impact their property. It won't be noticeable to them. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this item, and again, it must meet all of the light industrial requirements, and an 18-foot front yard setback is required from Avenue O. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, again, this being a public hearing, we will close our deliberations and open the floor. We know this routine now, so anyone wishes to speak in favor or opposition?
Do I have to speak in the mic, or can I just speak?
No, it records you so we can transcribe it. So again, name and address.
Catherine Klingler, 1110 West Avenue O. West Avenue O is that large because it used to be a highway, and for expansion purposes, we probably need to consider that becoming a 4-lane road eventually. So that setback might interfere in the expansion of that road. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, we will close the floor and reopen council deliberations.
I think this is one where I'd like to point out former Mayor Wayne Carpenter for his robust ideas on partnering with the county. And this is one of those partnerships we talk about and trying to get some more downtown retail and cool spots. And this is one of those cool spots. And also like to point out to the comment, public comment, definitely get with our staff and take a peek at TxDOT's plans for the other end of Avenue O. And I think you'll see the pinch points start to occur. And I don't know that the 4-lane could be wrong down the line, but be really hard with what TxDOT's planning there. So again, I think this is a great partnership with the county. And
Well, with 120 feet of existing right of way, there's
Yeah.
plenty of room to do that if it has to be done.
Yep. Great.
Yeah, just in the nicest way possible, want to thank the county for getting out of our downtown. I appreciate it. So,
I move to approve this item as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve this item as presented. For those who don't know, the Bell County Engineering Office is in the old bus depot that looks like a little diner downtown Belton. So that will open that up for future retail development. At least that is the hope and the plan. All right. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, item 16, consider a final plat for ASCO Addition subdivision comprising approximately 19 and a half acres located at 5353 South IH 35. Ms. Tina.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited to bring you this one. This is ASCO. They found a home in Belton due to the impacts from the widening project on 35 that we previously discussed. So I'm happy that they've chosen to, again, stay in Belton with us. The property was recently zoned commercial 2. It's meet all of the requirements for commercial 2. For water lines to the property, here's our current map. It shows water line on the east side of Toll Bridge and also on the property southern boundary, and also along the western for a portion. Our requirements for subdivision plat is to extend that water line to and through. The Belton Economic Development Corporation have set some money aside to help businesses that's been impacted by the widening project. I do believe this project is eligible for that, but it will be coming to you guys in a different meeting to discuss that funding source. For right-of-way, the right-of-way that's required is 20 from our subdivision requirements. However, we need a little bit more, 40 foot of right-of-way to accommodate for the current alignment and design for Toll Bridge Road. Perimeter street improvements would normally be required, but because of the additional right-of-way, we're asking that that be waived. This item was also taken to the Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and they recommended approval of the item. Applicants are here, and I will be happy to answer. I see you now. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments or questions from council?
I just, when you hear us say partnership a lot, and I think this is one of those that ASCO, you guys are a great partner for what Belton does. And when anybody asks why we develop partnerships and why they're so important to us, you have to look probably no further than what ASCO does. And whether it's storms and needing last minute equipment, or them supporting nonprofits in our community through their Spartacus Dash and things like that, you guys have been, and I'll be the first one to say him. Welcome back to Belton, I guess. Is that even though you've been here, still here?
Thanks for staying.
Yes, thank you.
Move we approve item 16 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this item. Tina, could you show us the map really quick? You mentioned about the water and funding and to and through. The blue line is the water line that is existing.
Correct.
You say to and through. Could you show us the area that would be
Correct.
that you referred to?
Yes, sir. It will need to be extended along the boundary line of 35 to provide services to the future property. So when they're ready to develop, they can also connect to the water from the north.
So is that the red line?
Yeah, the red line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I think this is one of those things that we discuss again in the partnership category. I think regardless of who would move in here, developing that whole piece of property and taking that water line, it doesn't necessarily help them. They have access, but it does help the property to the north. And so it's a good economic development tool. And I will say all the work that's been done with economic development and with the engineers that we've had and staff, multiple staff members go through these projects to put utilities down this area allows for us to take action. If we wait for needing to take action, we're too late. And so it's really glad, I'm really glad that we did this. And I'm also glad the council has kind of held their had their powder dry and not just approve the first thing that comes along this highway. We've always thought it's highest and best use, and partners are great. ASCO's great. It's a great location for it. I'm glad to see it stay. So just wanted to make sure that we understood, because that funding for that water line will be at a future meeting. Any other comments or questions before we vote? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All, yeah. That passes unanimously. Item 17. Consider a final plat and variance request for the DBI Capital Way Warehouse Development Subdivision comprising 15.3326 acres located at Capital Way and Elm Grove Spur. Ms. Tina.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Promise this is my last one. This is another exciting one to bring you. The developer has previously done work in the city right off of inside the Belton Business Park, right off of Wheat Road and Digby Drive. So we're glad to see them coming back with another project to span industrial warehouse space in Belton. The new proposal will include 186 square footage into the light industrial uses. So here is a proposed site plan that they have. This property is zoned planned development light industrial. It does allow them to go up to 40 instead of the 35-foot height requirement. They're meeting the area requirements for that regulation. Right away, they planned on dedicating right away off of Capitol Way, 10 foot on Capitol Way, and 5 foot off of Elm Grove Spur. From this illustration, you can see that access to the site is going to be from an access road that they've been working with Amazon to construct while constructing that project. So there are 3 access proposed, and they're labeled on the site plan. There is no access off of Elm Grove Road. Traffic study shows that there is no benefit to them from Elm Grove Road. They're asking for a variance, and staff is supportive of that variance. Again, they're dedicating 5 feet of right-of-way on the property for Elm Grove. This area is in the Armstrong Water District. So the applicant is currently evaluating the site with Armstrong to see whether or not they're able to handle the demand that they need. Should that not work out, we do have water lines right in front of the property for them to connect to. Once the development agreement is made with Armstrong. Sewer line is across the street. Another benefit of working with Amazon is that that sewer line has already been extended for them to connect to. With that, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the zoning of the plat. I apologize. And I will be happy to answer any questions that you have, and the applicants are here.
All right. Thank you, Tina. Comments or questions from council?
I'm excited. 168,000 square foot of tilt wall flex space, access to I-35, access to I-14, perfect area for that. I hope we get more. Really, really am excited about this. I think it's great for Belton, great for our community, great, potential employees, and, a good looking project.
I agree.
186. I messed up the first time.
186,000.
You got more, John.
Yeah.
More jobs.
And get Wood, call Woody, they're gonna appraise this.
Call Wood. We're adding to our tax roll. Thank you for coming to Belton. Thank you for doing this project. We are truly excited about it. I know there was some concern about runoff in the area. I know that'll be handled. We're gonna treat the people right in that area. And I really would like to approve this or recommend approval of this item.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve this item as presented. Again, on the concept of partnerships, you guys have been great partners. It's really nice to see that you guys took a risk in Belton on initial developments and that it filled up pretty quick. And now it's time for new opportunities. This is a really good complementary space. It's really nice to see Belton grow organically to fill all the different areas within our tax base to allow for businesses to have easy access to 35 to the things that they need in a community that supports them. And so we appreciate those partnerships. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right. Under the miscellaneous agenda item, Mr. Miscellaneous himself, Mr. Bates, will be given, thank you guys, will giving us a presentation, and we will be considered selecting a new logo for Visit Belton as part of the ongoing tourism rebranding marketing initiative. This is in the category of if you stay through all the credits at the end of a Marvel movie, there's going to be some really cool stuff. So for those who have stayed this long enough, this is really cool. For those that are leaving, you might want to sit down before the credits are done. So go ahead, Mr. Miscellaneous.
Mr. Miscellaneous.
Thank you.
That's gonna stick. So gonna stick.
Okay, we're gonna start working our way through today from an exciting point, some of the logo issues that we had for our tourism. I know we spent some time and certainly some decisions in the future, some action moving forward on being strategic with everything else. But in terms of the marketing side, this is something that we're excited about. We have a good story to tell and share with you. As I start with the messaging on a logo, I can imagine, I fully sympathize that this is a very difficult task to cold throw some logos at you all. I may remind you of the infamous water tower in 2021.
Where's the
You may recall that. And for those who really were around, I think Dan Kirk was on the crowd for this one. 2017, this was a top 6 logos, but so anyway, I think we've got what you'll see today a lot better. So let me.
That's the best logo right there. No, the next one. That one that's on the whiteboard. That's a good logo.
I'll take you back real quick to September 17, 2025. This is when we engaged Found Texas for a roadmap. So essentially, what do we want to see ourselves becoming when it specifically as it comes to the branding, the marketing side? And this was us doing the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for our community. And one of the things that was resounding from that September was really a bit of a rebrand and really to work on our messaging from the marketing side. So where you'll see today, guys, we are developing these elements right here. We do have a great professional library of photographs and videos now, but hopefully here in the near future we will be starting to really work on a lot of this, which has got some work in the background. Let me first introduce you the work that went on behind the scenes to kind of get us to where we are tonight. We had a kind of it was been ad hoc with an awesome tourism committee team. 3 of you served on it: Stephanie, David, and Dave. We also had a former Mayor Marion Dawn, who I saw in the crowd earlier. Appreciate you. Jordan, Stacy, and Ashley, some business owners. Hopefully trying to cover a good representation of folks who are invested, who care about tourism in our community. And then these are all the meetings that we had: March 24th, 13th, 22nd, July 22nd, and August 4th. So I share that we did not reach today lightly. This was a combined effort to really figure out who we are and what do we look like.
I'm gonna share, there's a lot of this presentation that's in your packet.
Right.
I'm not gonna go slide by slide, but I want to kind of pick out some of the clear elements that you want to understand going in before you see anything. These are the brand pillars that we really got behind as a group. That we were easygoing, that we're a hospitable community, that we have incredible nature in terms of the two lakes, river and a creek, all the trails that we have, the discovery, all the amazing small businesses, restaurants, our downtown, and of course our historic charm. And so those were kind of what we start to really build a bit of who we are. These were some of the exercises that we would do and that we worked on over several sessions. Who are we? Belton is not. And so again, I think that you guys would agree that a lot of what we see over here is again just very what we understand Belton to be kind of a good representation. We're not overstimulated or stuff in the next. So this was the direction, and this was the direction when we start looking at what's the type of artwork you want to start to work around as you start to develop your pillars, who you are, and then we start to kind of get to again earthy, comfortable, and lived in as our ranch hand. And I do have Letitia on the call here. I'm going to introduce her in a second. Just to be aware, this is what we have right now. Okay, we have a C Belton, which is our website. That was one of the things again came out of that September 17th was to revamp that, rebrand that C Belton into what we're going to present to you today, which is a Visit Belton. And obviously, again, you know, it's transitioned from the CBD. The logo you see there, this similar to our friends there in the background here, and Dawn there. So here's the logo concepts, and I'm going to bring Letitia in here at the end. And I'm going to kind of walk you through what each one looks like. We'll kind of stop, have a chance to talk. I would like her to share some of the reasons as to why we kind of put together the logos in the packet we did and the fashion that we did. And then I will turn it over, Mayor, I think best to you and Stephanie and Damon to share your experience on that committee and kind of walk us forward on what we think is looking best. This is the first concept that was come up with. So again, we had several iterations of this concept that we worked on, ultimately settling on, you know, kind of star approach. Here's some, I'm just gonna kind of work through it because again, I think it's just good to kind of see on the screen kind of how it's coming through. And then this is the logo compared to maybe some other visits. And I probably should have started maybe just for as much for those in the room, but it's not a city logo talking about tonight. This is a logo for people who are looking to come to our community. This would be something that we maybe see on billboards in the future, Texas Highway magazines, that kind of stuff. Things we work through some of the advertising. So that was option one. I'm going to come back to all of this. This was option two. As we kind of start to work through, I will share that as you start to see the patches, the wording, style of wording is really probably the more important aspect of the logo in terms of we can tweak the patches you'll see a standpipe one, you may want to see something else, but again, that kind of style of the logo, font that we're using there. So here's some different patches, different color patterns that we have done. Just, yeah, this was the one I think I mentioned with standpipe. Just trying to show some different ways that you can use a patch more for print materials or ball caps, hats, that kind of stuff. And here it is in use. And here it is against your several of the different logos there. I'm going to move right here to this comparison. At this point, Letitia, I'd like to bring you in, but again, just maybe for her to share a couple of what she took to work with the designer on bringing these two concepts together, and then turn it over to you guys to hopefully have some discussion and deliberation. No, we can hear you. Yes, good.
Hi. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Hi.
Yes, we can hear.
Great. Hi, everyone. Yeah. So, when I changed over to a panelist, I didn't catch the last thing you said, Matt. But these are our two options. Like you were saying, we've gone through a lot of iterations and a lot of workshopping to get us to this point. We have a little bit more of a masculine, active, red and black look on the left with the star and the movement. One of the ideas that we had with this logo was that it could stand alone pretty easily, but we wanted to bring in some other elements about Belton. We couldn't all settle on one exact item or icon that would make sense. So instead, we had some ideas about wanting to have multiple different rough drawings of like a horse or a cat, some cattle, different items that represent the city itself to be used alongside the logo. So that's where you could start to imagine where that left logo could go, or how it could be used in the future if it was expanded upon. The right side is these are two very different looks. So I know that with the committee, we've got some split opinions between staff and everything. So I know we wanted to bring this to everybody here to vote to see what really makes the most sense for your town. The right side is, I'd say, a little more easygoing, a little more, it's a little softer. I think it's a little bit more amenable to putting on merch. We want to think about like, where will these logos live? And what's going to be the most effective for all of those use cases. So, which one looks better on a hat? Which one, exactly, thank you, Matt. Which one's going to be something that you want to wear more? What can you see people buying and wearing again and again? Maybe they come to visit Belton and then they buy a shirt, they buy a hat or water bottle. And then other people see it and want to go there. So did I give you enough info, Matt, for those two directions?
And again, I kept going back and forth. I think just sometimes your eye needs to kind of catch this as she was talking about there. We'll also mention, you guys saw over the weekend and then this morning again, we had the committee members, non-council members that were on the committee that I mentioned. They have sent you guys their comments on both, their recommendations. That's on page 95 of your packet there. And so again, yes, definitely varying opinions, and not to at all just punt this one in the lap of council, but this is probably a visionary decision to make on what we look like. And so best appropriate to bring you guys both options, explain pros, cons, let everyone have their say, and kind of show it to y'all. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of serving on the committee. I thought it was really very productive. This is probably the most productive. I mean, and Stephanie can share with this too, because when her time also on Chamber of Commerce, we've gotten really close a lot of times to unifying a brand around the chamber, around the BEDC, around the city of Belton, and it's just never gone anywhere. This is one that actually landed. So I think I'll just say this about my personality. I don't have an opinion until you ask me, and once I have an opinion, I'm not changing it. And so it's sometimes it's good to not have an opinion and walk in and just objectively look at it. I think anyone who's gone through the journey from March till today, if they have an opinion, they're not changing it. That's what they think, because you kind of walk through that process yourself, and there's a reason why you came to that conclusion. And part of it is collaborative, and part of it is just your own personal preference. I will say this: one of the things that I asked staff to do is to present us the two options. Don't present us the option and argue for or against what the others. We're not looking at the 50 options. We're looking at two. And so I think one of the things that I would like to just say, just on a strength perspective, if you can go back to the slide where you showed the Visit Belton, and then there's a watermark behind it with a guitar, another watermark, I think with, I don't know. Yeah. So one of the things she was saying is when we originally looked at this, it was instead of having a star, I think we had like a bucking bronco or running horse or yeah, something like this. And that just didn't resonate. It just seemed a little too, that's not quite who we are. But if you go back to the one that shows the watermark, I think this is one where this is a strength of this logo. It's modern, like she said, it's masculine, but it complements all the different things we can do. It places very well in complementary with. And so I think this is a strong this plus. The star is also nice. It's not unique to Texas. Pretty much every Texas city is going to try to put a star in there. And so I think sitting by itself, like these banner and this merch, when you look at it, when you can add complementary images to it, I think it plays really well. That's a real strength of this one. I'll talk to the strength of the other one. So if we go to you had one where you had several of the badges with different shapes and sizes of it. I think one was broader. Yeah, that's an example of what this one is a little more iconic. It's less complimentary. It's more standalone. So this really kind of shows unique. It kind of has that national park feel. It could be a patch. It stands alone. And if we pick the right badge or patch shape, we're not the only ones who use badges and patches, but you will see them on a lot of merch, a lot of water bottles, a lot of shirts, a lot of hats. I think this one is really strong in the standalone category, but it's not as complimentary as the other. So you show this and you want to show Bacon Blues and Brews, it doesn't feel like Bacon Blues and Brews, where the other one does. And so I think one of the things I just wanted to share, to be fair to both, they both have their own strengths in different ways. Like my one of my sons was like, it's only dessert if it's chocolate, right? And so I think we're all going to have our opinion on which one. But the thing that I thought they did such a good job of doing with our consultant and our staff and the committee is we went from blank sheet of paper to these two. And I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. Unless you're like me, I didn't have an opinion until I did. And I will always remember what that opinion was, regardless of what y'all vote for. And I've also not said which one I'm for. But I think they're both strong. And I think it's one of those, Admiral McRaven says, in one of his points was you need to be learn to not follow orders, but get with the program. Is when we make a decision, we need to be a team player. And so we may disagree on things, but whichever one we choose, that's the one. And so now's the time to share your opinions and agreements and disagreements. When we vote, then everybody's on board. And I will be leading the charge, whether it was the one I liked or didn't like. Because honestly, I like them both. But for the other two that were on the committee, I'll give you some time to also share. Hopefully, I was as neutral as possible in that statement.
I'll go first if that's okay, Stephanie. I will contradict you, David. I started with an opinion, and every time we met, I changed my opinion, and I just waffled back and forth between both of them. Honestly, every time they would show a different image, this one with this image or this one with that image. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, I like that. So I've gone back and forth a lot. Just want to give a sincere thank you to the folks that served on the committee. We had several meetings and lots of time spent together doing this. And like you said, I think we came up with two good options. I'll leave it at that for now.
Stephanie.
Yeah, I don't know that I can add a ton to all of that. I feel like a lot of work came together to present two that it sounds like, and I can echo what both Dave and David have said, in that I can see strengths and weaknesses in both. And so I certainly have my opinion as well, but I'm excited that it could be narrowed down to two really strong choices. And I'm excited to see what one everyone can land on. And to David's point, we'll all be on the same team when the decision's made, for sure.
Well, I sure am excited about this. I think I've been pushing for something like this for a couple of years now, and a specific marketing plan for our community. And I would love to see either one of those in Texas highways.
It's 7 o'clock.
Bucket list, any of those, Texas Country Reporter, any of that stuff. I'm just excited, really appreciate the committee's work on this. I know there was a lot to it, took a lot of time. Hard to pick, and after seeing the committee's recommendation or go to, that made it even a little tougher. But so excited to have something to be able to use and really promote and both feet forward.
I'll add, as somebody who did not get to see any of these until the packet was published to us Thursday or whatever day that was. Logos are hard. As somebody who generally doesn't really like logos, because you always see something like, oh man, I wish mine was like that, or oh man, you know, we've all done it to ourselves. A case in point, John, put your Coke up on the thing, and I'll say we can spend millions of dollars like both of these brands have, but millions more probably went to this logo, and I don't like it, and that one probably hasn't changed since before I was around. And so, I mean, I think when you're creating a logo for something, I don't know that there's ever going to be a winner and a loser. I think, David, to your point, or maybe to your point, the utilization, I think, is what's key here. I don't necessarily see the right one on merch. I mean, I picture like a polo or a hat like they had in the slides. And
look,
yeah, it is pictured.
There are pictures of it on merch.
But when I see something like that, like for example, the one with the guitar and the bull, I could really see, like, for example, the one with the bull, we'd push that a lot during rodeo time. You'd push the other one for anything concert, Music City, whatever the governor's office music, I forget what it's called. And so, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both. They're both, I think, great, but I think the utilization is where my direction would go. Is what can be utilized more. I don't know if I could put a half-arced logo on a square banner on down Central, like where we have all the banners. I don't know, how does that geometry, it's things like that.
We can make it work.
Yeah.
You mind putting both of them back up?
Yes, sir.
So my thoughts when I saw this one, my initial thought when I saw I'm going to call it number one and number two, number one on the left, number two on the right. When I saw the first one, it automatically reminded me of the Temple logo, because they have a star like that on theirs. And whenever I think of Temple, I don't want Belton to look anything like it. But that's what came to my mind first. I also, when you see the 5 words you put up there, one of them was nature. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Belton, and I didn't really see it in number 1. Number 2, I love that I feel like I see Belton. I see the Main Street Bridge. I see the creek. It captures, the downtown, our nature. And so I actually really like the number 2 more than I did the number 1. I just felt like it achieved those 5 words better than the number 1.
I'll add to Luke's point real quick with the badges, the whatever we're calling those. If we go that route, I think if you could have multiple badges, same shape, multiple landscapes, the stamp pipe, and I think that would probably flow very well with what we do with the library mural, with the different badges about what Belton is, and I think you're probably a little more easily customizable. But again, it's that stamp versus the utilization.
Yeah, I think it's approaching marketing in the 2 different ways. Like the Apple brand, it's Apple. Like it's just the Apple. It's an icon. That's it. There are others that are more complimentary, where that one's kind of iconic.
Like if you go back, the one you had single that's longer, the Visit Belton, the number 2, I really like that one a lot.
And
that looked
guys,
great.
There will be refinements done, and the logos we keep refining, adding things. So that's why I was kind of maybe just when I was talking about that font, almost is kind of like the style, which one you want to go with. But if it's like, hey, I'd love to see some variations of what's on the top here, or a patch, like Letitia worked with the standpipe. that's stuff that we can work with them, all day long, so.
And I don't want to complicate it, but I'll complicate it a little bit. You mentioned this is a Visit Belton effort. This is not the Belton logo. That being said, something like the one on the right, if you go back to the patches,
Yeah.
this could be the Belton logo, and the other could be the Visit Belton logo, and
Or vice versa.
or vice versa. No, I'm just not too complicated, but the thing is, we have probably 4 or 5 different brands within the city. I think ultimately we would probably want to navigate to one and not to have, this is the Visit Belton logo and this is not the Visit Belton logo.
Yeah.
I think eventually, I think we want to go towards a direction, a brand, family. So
I do really like how you're saying you can do different, same, you look at the one on the right, you know, say Visit Belton and have different scenes from Belton. I mean, it's neat that you can do different variations.
Well, and I'll say if staff is asking for a direction 1 versus direction 2 here,
We're picking.
I will, but they can be fine tuned after this. I think you've hit the cap on direction 1. I really don't know that there's much fine tuning to that. Whereas to the points we've made about the multiple badges and the things, I think there's a lot more you can develop off of direction 2.
yeah, I think the Visit one is the stamp that you then work the canvas around. So you're going to have a canvas of a thing, and this will be the stamp on it. So it'll be whatever the scene is, you know, kids playing, or if it's buck and bronc or guitar, barbecue, whatever. This could go where the other ones stand up. Well, I think, you know, ultimately, design by committee never works. And so this is not designed by committee. This is and it actually, it says receive a presentation and consider selecting. It says consider. I would recommend that we just kind of, if you don't mind, we're just going to go and just tell us 1 or 2, and then we'll go through 1 or 2 and feel like read the room. So we'll start with Stephanie, ladies first. Sometimes the first vote
Okay.
sways everybody else. They've shown that. So would you prefer 1 or 2?
That's a really hard decision to make. I will say when we start to talk about our marketing strategy as part of our overall tourism strategic plan, we have done a lot of legwork on the logo piece. So I think that that's part of where I struggle is thinking about the vision and the plan, and some of the struggle from the questions that I think Daniel was just asking is we don't really have that bigger picture in mind. But I think if I had to go, I would go with 2 today. I've loved it since the beginning. I love 1, but I really struggle with the star. I've been in the tourism business a long time, by the way. It's what I did for the first 20 years of my career. So I struggle with the star a little bit, even though I love it, and I love it over the I love the look. I do. So if that's what we do, it's going to be yay, great. But I think I would go with 2. I find it a little more unique to Belton, whereas the star, it's just a struggle to not see every other state or city in the state of Texas. For me.
All right. So we'll just go down this row and just all the way, and I'll go last.
I'm a number 2.
Number 2.
Don't make it.
I may surprise those of you who were in the room with me during the committee stuff. I feel like I was pushing pretty hard for option 1 during the especially the last committee meeting, and I really what I loved about option 1 was really like the red background that we were talking about with the guitar behind it, with the Longhorn behind it. I think that would look great on a billboard, on a banner downtown. But the more I've thought about this, option 2 is I think more useful on more things. It can be dropped into a blank space and carry more meaning than option 1 does. So that's a very long vote for number 2 for me.
We're not voting, it's just options.
I hate to discard either one of those. But if we've got to say, I like the versatility of one. To me, option two, the bridge sort of captures, as soon as I look at it, the bridge bothers me. I know what it means, but it,
Show the other one. The other badges. It's also this. It could be all those.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what was
Do
that?
we in all of these, can we use them all?
Yeah.
You paying for all of them, or how does that work?
Well, yeah, it's in the refinements. This would be a
Okay.
part of the concept too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I love your work. Thank you.
Who's next?
You are.
Two.
Against every fiber of my being for clean and distinct, which I think is option one. I'm specifically met with Matt about this agenda item, and I think when I tell him two, he's not gonna have a shocked look, but he's shocked inside based on what I said earlier. So, I like the idea of being able to do a lot with the. It looks like a door hanger right now. The door hanger is what I'll call it. You know, that could be a few bowls in there. That could be a guitar. That could be
We like.
the expo. That could be the courthouse. That could be all the things that are really signature to what Belton is and could be. And there could be new things that pop up that. So two.
Yeah, with two, you could go like like in a video where it goes through different and then stops on one of the badges. You know, like anyway. So I think there's a lot of things we could do with one and two. And like I said before, I think two stands alone. It's a stronger standalone icon that can capture Belton in a single visual. Where number one is very good for our events and street banners and pamphlets. So I think to their point, I don't think we should throw any of this away. I think it's always good to put it in our back pocket. But I also agree. I think two is the direction that I think would allow us to stand out. I will say, and it's brought up, and I'd also bypassed 317 and went through Morgan's Point to get away from the big traffic jam. But their Morgan's Point Resort icon for them is very similar. It's a nature scene with an arch. With the lake, I think it's Lake Belton.
Much antiquated.
Nobody sees that.
It's very nobody sees it.
No.
That are identified,
Only
but
those that are descendants of Morgan's Point.
yeah. But anyway, but no, I agree. We have consensus. I don't know if we need a vote. I think that there was a consensus that we think that number two is the way to go, but we also really like elements of one. So maybe we can use it for special events, or I don't know. We don't want to. Yeah. Do we need to vote? All right. So, okay.
I'll make a motion for option two as presented with further refinement down the line.
Second. We have a motion, a second, to approve logo concept two. Any other comments before we put this to bed and we're all team players and we get behind?
Appreciative of the committee.
Very appreciative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really awesome.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. Passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. That went very well. Thank you, guys. This is, we've talked about 100-year decisions. This is one of those kind of 100-year decisions. I mean, if we get behind it and we go forward and it's strong, I think this will be a 100-year decision. So thank you, guys. All right, strategic plan. Item 19, Mr. Listy, we were receiving a presentation, invite public input on the strategic plan for this evening.
Here's time to see if any public input maybe on plan update in the next 5-year period. The pillars remain the same, about 6 items of the plan and the detail of the training set. I'll just run through these very briefly and highlight 1 or 2 items of each of the initiatives. So something that drives throughout the entire plan that we talked about before is got the 514 project, and you can see that throughout. So for this time period, that's something that is significant. The REIT road analysis was something that came out of the strategic plan session this summer, where the council asked for a feasibility study on that project to assess the need, whether it is needed or not, and to come up with some concepts for that project. And we're working closely with the consultant right now to get a proposal for that. So that has sort of taken a different approach than what had been discussed in the past, but again, more of a feasibility analysis. Under economic and business development, again, I-35 project dominates that area of initiatives as well as we quality of life, implementing the folks, plan for key as we go forward, and those recently adopted. Under infrastructure, the strategic plan led to. Batteries dying. Okay. Sorry. The strategic plan led to an evaluation of street maintenance fee, and so that's an effort that's underway at this particular point in time as well. In terms of engagement initiatives, the customer service effort continues to be a major emphasis, and we'll be continuing to work on that going forward. What you just spoke about, the marketing plan and logo with a significant tourism focus are reflected in the strategic plan, and we will reflect that going forward. In the plan as it exists right now, there is a reference item, initiative 2.51, which recognizes the need for tourism goals to be developed and benchmarks established based on our assets. So that is a major focus in the plan. It certainly could be enhanced perhaps going forward to specifically state the objective of the council discussed earlier tonight in terms of a strategic plan for tourism. And if the council chooses to do that, I can certainly make that modification to emphasize that a little bit stronger. Public safety initiatives, obviously we're working to get the Public Safety Center at Miller Heights up and running, and certainly it is operational now, but continuing an emphasis on that is the significant public safety initiative going forward. So the years 2 through 5 of the plan, again, this is a 5-year plan, reflects what we see at this particular point in time as a snapshot of our priorities going forward. And again, with the strong emphasis of I-35 and I-14, which 5 years from now, hopefully should be, hopefully, I don't know, will be under construction, whether it's hopeful or not. The plan has been on the website since August 4th, and tonight is the opportunity for public input for the plan. And we will bring forward the final version of the plan as we adopt the budget on September 15th. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have or comments. We refine this plan going forward for the next 5-year time period.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Since we've had lots of questions and comments through the season of this, we'll hold those question comments and allow for public input first. So this also is a public hearing or a public input hearing. If anyone wishes to speak on any item on the strategic plan or in general, they may do so at this time. Again, 3 minutes. Mr. Covington will keep the time. I have one person who signed up, but that doesn't mean that we have to limit it to one person. So the person I've signed up is Taryn Burnett. Is it Burnett or Burnett? Okay. Thank you. I know you've written it, but just name and address for the record for our minutes.
Not a problem. Taryn Burnett, 2935 Mystic Mountain Lane, Belton, Texas. Here to speak specifically to Pillar 1, connectivity, Goal 1.3, local street projects. Initiative 1.3.3, analyze the need and, if justified, develop design concept for Wheat Road extension. Specifically here to speak to what I believe you reference is the North Wheat Road extension. It's the section from Sparta to Red Rock. I know I spoke several times on this in the last year. And I appreciated seeing what I would say was a shift in feedback from your strategic planning meeting this summer. It does seem that there is some growing consensus that this extension, specifically in the north part, is not being good stewards of our city funds to explore. It specifically benefits one neighborhood and one neighborhood only. It's based on arguments, it's spending $70,000 to explore design just to do it. There's no strong argument that adding this North Road extension would be beneficial. There's no strong argument to add this North Road. Sorry, lots of notes tonight during today's meeting. If there's not support for building the road, spending 70,000 on a design with no intention to build a road does not make sense. Designs have a shelf life. This is wasting money if there's not a strong argument to move forward. There are two projects that impact this topic that are not underway. One is the I-1435 expansion, and the other is the BRA pipeline that will go through the back of this neighborhood where you're proposing to put this road. Based on those two and the lack of strong support, I propose that the North Wheat Road expansion specifically be removed from strategic planning for the next 10 years to allow for the completion of the BRA pipeline and the I-1435 expansion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council on the strategic plan? There being no other public comments, we will close the floor and reopen. We've received the presentation. We've received some public input. Any comments or questions? There are no action items for us to take this evening. We're just taking comments.
This is just comments. There is no action at all. Period.
No, not yet.
Nor can.
Not yet.
When stated plainly, it makes sense. If there is a growing consensus to not do it, why spend the money?
You're talking about the strategic plan?
No, the TUR point, just to throw that at staff.
I would just say, we all have definitions of words. When you say design to some people means you're designing where you're going to put the asphalt to put the 5-lane road or 4-lane with the turn lane. But design in this concept is it's multimodal. People bicycles, people use feet, people use golf carts. We may want to see a design and a concept for a nature area that can be transversed on a gravel path. That's design. Design is not proving what I want to build. It's determining what might need to be. I will say this because I've been through the whole process. We had developers grant this land to put in a thoroughfare. For us to not consider putting in a thoroughfare, whether it's multimodal or a road, would be disingenuous because all of the people who bought those lots ended up paying the developer for the land they donated to the city. And so I don't think we can do nothing with land that was donating it to us for a purpose. So I think it's important to understand we had a concept of what we thought it might be. And as the public comment was saying, and to your point, I think we've seen a shift in maybe the need for what we originally thought, but it doesn't mean there's not a need to use public space with good stewardship. And design is a concept design. It's not a final design. So it may be a winding trail with scooters and benches, dog park. I don't know. Or it could be nothing. It could be just a nature green space. So
that's what we took from the summer session that we talked about evaluating what's needed. Maybe moving away from the idea of an arterial street, obviously, is not going to be that. And evaluating what's needed, be it some kind of a road, pedestrian path, or nothing. But that's the analysis that is
and sometimes it's nothing now, and maybe it's something later. To her point, it might be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It may change. Any other comments?
I just comment about that back when we were talking about it. When we spoke about it, we basically said we need to get to a point where we actually can make a decision so that your neighborhood either gets a yes or no. And with not having any kind of design, any kind of studies, we really can't sit there and say yes or no. So what we moved forward on was, hey, let's look at the design, see if it's even needed. It might not be, but y'all deserve an answer, yes or no. And so that's really where we're trying to get.
Yeah, and part of design is traffic counts and studies, and that's just part of the scope. It's part of, and again, I think we all have different definitions of the word design, and I think it's a hard word to express.
I do think that part of this, what'll happen over the next year with the strategic plan on this specific item is that we will narrow the focus. We will figure out what do we think the need is for the space. And I think that this time next year, you and your neighbors will feel like there's some clear direction set. So I think that we've got to go through the process and get the data so that we can make an informed decision. But yeah.
And actually timing is good with the pipeline activity.
Absolutely. Yep. Which we were able to, with a good stewardship, able to allow us to generate some revenue that we can now use for some of that design that came from external sources. All right. We good? All right.
Thank you.
That's item 19. Again, no action item required. Item 20, receive a presentation and discuss how we can take money from our how the proposed amendments for the fiscal year 27 City of Belton fee and rate schedule.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you are aware, each year during the budget time period, we review our fees that we charge for different services throughout the city. We compare those to our neighboring cities and cities of similar size, as well as trying to determine our actual cost and recouping that actual cost. So we're presenting to you today some proposed changes for fiscal year 27. The first, there we go. The first will come in the building permits and fees. And I've asked each department head to be prepared to discuss these with you. So I'll go through them briefly. But we're looking at a penny increase in the new residential construction and new commercial construction costs, as well as adding 3 new fees for building plan review, civil engineering review, and a traffic impact review, which we've already been providing these services, but we've never charged for those services. So there are costs to the city that we would like to, at least in the terms of the outside consultants, pass that cost on to the developer. And then for your basic building permit fee area of plumbing, most of the items would increase 25 to 50 cents each. And then swimming pool permits, you can see the increases there from 50 to 51.50 for above ground, $85 to $90 for in ground, and 110 to 115 for commercial. Contractor registration, we've charged $50 a year for years and years. Parker Heights is charging 80, Colleen is charging 80, Temple is charging 75. So we're recommending that we charge 80 as well. For your electrical and mechanical basic building permit fees, there's an increase of 50 cents to $1 on several of the items. Irrigation sprinkler heads would go from $1 each to $1.25. We're also proposing to add a fee for a zoning verification letter. This differs from an open records request because it is actually asking for specific information on a property that the development department has to actually write out all the answers to the questions. And so we're recommending a fee of $50 for those. Commercial site plan review, we're currently charging $150, which comes nowhere close to capturing our costs. So we're recommending to increase that fee to $1,000. The sidewalk in lieu of fee, we're currently charging $120 per square yard, and we're recommending to increase that to $130 per square yard. Parkland dedication fee has not been changed since 2006. So we're recommending an increase to $250 per unit. Temple charges $225, and other cities in the area charge significantly more than $250. Fire charges for service. There had been a request to add a fee for use of the blocker truck. So we're recommending that to be at $300 an hour for a 1 hour minimum. There are several different charges for services that were listed in the existing fee schedule, and The fire department has simplified that to say that for permits that are issued by the fire marshal, we would just like to simplify it down to the two for, construction permits for $100 a permit, and operational permits would be $100 per operation.
Is that for the CO? When you say operational permit,
I think that's for operating, give me 1 minute.
Later on.
I don't understand it.
Is it a operation of a sprinkler system?
No, it's operations like, for a boarding house or the different types of operations that where they would go out and do an inspection. Occupants.
So it is for a certificate of occupancy.
No.
I'll get that answered.
Okay.
I'll get that
Yeah, this
information
is,
to you.
Okay, no
yeah,
further.
right now it's just a presentation and discuss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, put a pin, yeah, asterisk on that.
Let's see, where were we? Fire sprinkler site inspection and testing. Instead of separating the fees into without a fire pump or with a fire pump, we want to simplify those and make them both $100 plus $1 per head. The fire alarm system site inspection and test, we would also change that to $100 per panel plus $1 per device. And installation of the fire sprinklers or fire alarms without a permit is $500 per item.
So question on
That's
the,
new.
question on your with or without fire pump. I'm assuming that if you got just city water that has pressure, we can just use a pressure meter. But if they have a fire pump, somebody has to kick that on and run it to make sure it gets the pressure that they need.
Yes, sir.
So my only concern is what's our cost to do that? Because what it'll be is and again, it's $50 versus $150. Anyway, I think we need probably some more info on that one, because it is a different, it's not a tomato, it's totally, tomato and apple.
Okay, we'll get more information
Yeah,
on that
thank
for
you.
you. Okay, now the wrecker fees are under the police station, and these are the fees that the wreckers are allowed to charge clients. So the non-consent tow changing from $150 to $200, an incident management fee from $150 to $200, and then there'd been a request to add fees for the use of a medium duty wrecker and fees for the use of a heavy duty wrecker. And we're recommending $400 to $800 on those. Okay, moving on to credit card fees. The fees that are in the fee schedule now, we needed to clarify that those fees are for utility payments. With the implementation of our public records request system, we take payments through the portal. The existing credit card fees were grandfathered in. So our fee structure is 2% plus $1.25 platform fee. So we needed to add that into the fee schedule.
What's our cost for operating credit cards? What do we pay? If somebody pays with American Express, what do we have to pay?
Our merchant fee is about 2%, 2 to 2.5%.
So we're setting a rate that's lower than our cost.
It's essentially
We're about losing money. About losing money. We're not about making money. We're about losing money. Yeah, I think,
Let's break even. Please.
I think we need to, whatever, I think it needs to, whatever the highest rate is, we set it, assuming everybody will use whatever that, and I think it's more, what's the cost, not what do we want to charge. We're just passing that on.
That's a great comment, Mayor. Thank you.
For me, I agree with the assumption they can still come in and pay like for a records request in person.
They can.
Okay. Without not credit card in person, but other form of payment without
More
a
of a
fee.
convenience fee.
Yeah.
And I sure would like us to be clear on the utility and use of a credit card. I think it says a dollar fee or maybe just the 2%. I don't know that both of those are included when we make notice about using a credit card for utility.
Okay, we'll check on that.
Yes, sir. So the extra $1.50 is one of those charges that is charged by the software company that we use, the platform fee, if you will. We don't get that dollar, but we have to have it in our fee schedule because it is a fee that's charged to the customers.
I think the dollar's listed with the 2% in.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's a separate, the 2% comes to us, the $1 goes to the other people. Eventually, we'd like to do away with that whole charging for those credit card fees, but we haven't gotten there yet.
That's
Tell
actually,
me how that works.
Yeah.
'Cause I've got a couple of businesses I'd like to get rid of having to pay those credit card fees as well.
But you don't want to just absorb it to get rid of paying for them either.
No, it's just, yeah, cash
yeah,
or go.
but I
away.
mean,
Ask old Jody over there in Temple.
yeah. I'm actually against having a credit card fee. I mean, no business is allowed to do it. You build that into the cost. Only governments can actually add a credit card fee. It's only
No,
legal.
businesses do too.
No, they can't.
No, they do all
No.
the time.
They're, it is
I mean,
not
when I
legal
pay
for them.
invoices, no, when I pay invoices, it says if you wish to pay with credit card, it's gonna be 3% more.
Fee.
It's a 3% fee.
They're
Yeah,
not
every
allowed
day.
to. And, but people can say it's a cheaper rate to use cash, but you're not allowed as a business to just say, if you're paying with a credit card, you pay 2%
No, you
extra.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can.
it happens
It's,
all the time.
I know it happens, but.
no, it's totally legal.
What-
I
what-
just,
oh,
anyway, but this is just comment anyway. So,
oh.
yeah, some are for, some are against.
But I don't think we should do it. Everyone uses credit card now and the majority of people pay in the portal, and I just think we need to build into the cost. You shouldn't have a separate credit card fee.
I have ACA, I have utilities ACH, so I don't have to pay the fee. So I save money.
Good, I do too.
But anybody can do an ACH as well.
Anyway,
On the
anyone can use a credit
records,
card.
before we approve this, I'd like to understand who defines the size of the record? Because if you just call for a record and you get a medium, you're paying 400. You may have just needed a light record of 200. If a heavy duty record happens to be driving by and stops, you're paying 400.
Simply based on, so typical car, so most of your records will be able to take care of that. They have to. If it's something that's too large, they show up and say, I can't get this, they'll call their own company to bring something that's capable of moving that load. That would
Okay.
be a medium or a large size.
So you're not concerned about them sending heavier than what you need to pull that car off the road?
It's the wrecker company that makes that decision, basically.
Well, also, we can see
Right.
requesting tow, so that's another safeguard that we have in place. Yeah, they'll make determination, typically they'll send whatever record, common record. And then if we say, yeah, they're not to get that little, the radio backs, they're going to send
Got
a
it.
marker, that record, to get that.
Much.
And get it out of the way.
I know there's been some discussion on open records. I wanted to give you a few statistics. We implemented the Just FOIA system back in April. You can see, no, you can't. Right here. Beginning in April, the police department started with 70. You can see how many they've had. This is just through last Friday, I believe. As of yesterday. Okay. So they've had a total of 680 requests. When it says city, that's every other department that comes through the city clerk's office. So we've had 218. We are charging fees that are established by the state. We don't set those fees. And every opportunity we have to charge for a record, we are charging. We are required, if it's over $40, to give them the information that it's over $40 and they can choose to pay or not pay. If it's over 100, we can require a 50% deposit. This is before we do the work. Of course, we have to do a little bit of work in order to know what records we have. But if there's redactions or those types of things that have to take place, we're not doing that work until they've agreed to pay. So we have billed for PD records $5,575. We've received $1,700. This much is pending because we're not sure what they're gonna do. And we've had right at $2,500 of request withdrawn. In other words, they didn't want to pay the fee, we're not gonna do the work.
So
The majority of the money comes from the request for videos, especially body worn. But the state establishes that we can charge $10 for each video and $1 per minute, the length of the video, to redact anything that must be redacted from that video before we can release it.
The
But it still doesn't
pending,
get anywhere near our cost, does it?
the pending is, we've done the work. It's ready to be picked up. They just haven't paid it. So we haven't provided it.
No, the pending is we've billed it, and we don't know if they're gonna pay it or not.
Got it.
So we're waiting on them. We are allowed to pause the request, and they have a time limit that they have to let us know one way or the other. And if they don't meet that time limit, it's considered withdrawn.
And we haven't done the work yet.
We haven't, no. There are some smaller requests that we can't charge for, but they're nominal. They really are nominal. Let's see.
So before we leave open records, you mentioned we're mandated by the state of $10 per video and $1 per minute.
For body worn cameras.
We're
The
allowed.
body, okay, that's what I wanted to go to, because open records is not just body cameras. If
Mhm.
somebody wants to know all the water bills, then that's not body camera.
No,
Are
we are allowed to charge a labor fee and an overhead charge. But the labor fee is set by the state at $15 an hour. It doesn't matter if you have an $85 an hour employee working on it, you can still just charge $15 an hour.
so, and we can charge a labor fee and a what fee?
An overhead,
An overhead.
20%,
What?
20%
20% of what?
of the labor charge.
20% of our labor cost
Is it-
or 20% of the labor charge?
20%, 15.
Our labor. So if somebody's $80 an hour and 20% of $80 an hour is
It's
16.
20% of $15,
So that's what I'm
18
asking. Is
18
it
an
the
hour.
cost or is it the charge?
the charge.
It's 18 an hour, basically. It's max.
Well, as we start thinking about unfunded mandates, they're all, this is in the category of an unfunded mandate. We need to please put a pin in this so we can address our legislature to allow us to charge a this or actual cost. Like, we're not asking for anything other than just cost. It's not it's
Actual
reimbursement,
expenses.
right?
Yes.
So, okay, so for open records, so there's nothing we can do. So let me ask you this. If we can't change our fee and rate schedule on open records request, why is it here?
Because that is the fees that are being charged.
We don't. It's the state. Yeah, they're levying it, but that doesn't require council action. Right?
We do.
Has to be published.
Sorry, we do have one fee that is on our fee and rate schedule that is required to be on there if we want to charge it. And this is through the transportation code and not where you normally find open records requests, and that's your accident reports.
But we don't
Those are
have,
established at $6, and it has to show up on your fee and rate schedule to charge $6. Otherwise, it's 10 cents or free because it's less than
Okay, so
so many pages.
we don't have to charge for like body worn camera. We don't have to
We have to charge for anything.
We're allowed to, therefore we have to put this in there. That's why it's in there. To what David's asking, right?
They established the maximums.
We just have to show it if we're gonna charge it. Their maximum charge.
I'm not 100. Let me get back with
it
you
would
on
be
that.
really good because
Charge.
I will say every game that's played, the person who figures out the real rules, not what the person, like I play games with people and they read the rules the way they interpret them. But if you really read the rules, you find out you can beat them because they're not telling you the whole rules. It would be really nice to know the whole rules because here's where I'm going. The average on that is a worthless number. it's a trend. If you put that in a trend on a spreadsheet and see what's next year going to be based on the current trend from August to, or anyway, if you look at these trends, what's happening is all of the, because we're public information, people are finding out that you can train large language model for bidding municipal projects. So you're getting bots. You're basically getting non-humans going out and finding ways to use this data. And anything that they can scarf for free, it goes into that. And then they can take the aggregate of that data and go sell it. And they're really making a profit over public information. The other one is on body cameras. The more we add, I drove by 14 flock cameras. I never noticed a flock camera till Waze started going, blue, police ahead. It's like, there's not a police officer. Oh, there's a pole with a camera on it. Well, the thing is when are we going to start having people asking about flock cameras and about this camera and about, I mean, everything's gone digital. And so we're going to get inundated. Like there are more bots and digital tools to ask you a question that we will never be able to answer. So I really think on this, when it comes to digital data, we're no longer in the normal public information request. We are in data mining. And we can choose to not have body cameras and to not have flock cameras and to not have any digital data. We're just going paperless. I mean, we're not going paperless, we're going back to paper. And we will eliminate like every request, but it doesn't make our citizens safer.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to, as a staff, this will become 60% of our police budget will just be looking at body cam data and defending body cam data. And I don't want us to be in a position of having to choose a bad choice versus a worse choice. We need to have a good choice. This one really concerns me because of just the data mining that is just rampant. I feel for you who have
most body camera ends up on a YouTube video that ends up making money.
Yeah. They get they put it on Facebook and get trends and well, we need to think about like if you know, and this legislature may not be saying it, we will charge 10% plus a 50% royalty if it's used publicly. Does anybody say you can't have a royalty? Well, let's slap a royalty on there. I'm just saying, whatever, we need to think about where the rules are, and we need to put a disincentive for people to abuse the system that's outside of just a flat rate. It's just, yeah, anyway. Sorry, my rant's over.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, now we get into water rates.
Speaking of water rate,
We're gonna add a fee for replacing the AMI antennas that have been damaged by customers at actual cost plus 10%. I believe those are around $36. Yeah. The new meter set base fee, we're going to increase from 1,000 to 2,000 to capture costs. City install water taps, changing from base fee plus cost of meter plus 500 to just materials plus 10% plus equipment and labor. The cut-in tees on an existing line for an irrigation meter, changing to a base fee plus the cost of the meter plus $500.
So how, can you go back to that? Yeah, I don't understand what that would come out to be. Like what do you change it when it comes to the overall cost by doing it that way?
Can you come to the, yeah, sorry.
Base fee would increase from 1,000 to 2,000.
The equipment and labor, equipment is quantified at $100 per piece of equipment an hour, and the labor is at $25 per hour. And that's per employee, depending on how many it has to be on site. Did that answer that question?
Kind of, but I guess what I'm getting at is you're looking at what it was versus what you're saying you want to go to, the materials plus 10% plus equipment. If you take your average job, which I don't even know how you find that, but your average job, how much are you increasing the price of it?
You'd probably be going reality, probably around from the $500 that you see right there, probably around to 800 to 1,000 in reality. And to capture those fees, a lot of times a standard meter set right now for a 1 inch going out and doing a tap is around, right now we charge the 500 no street cut, and you go out there, it'd be about 700. If you do a street cut, it takes it up even more. That fee also encompasses a 2-inch. If you get a 2-inch meter, that costs you probably about $1,100 that you're not capturing for those fees.
What about folks in the area, Scott? What do they do? Because I think we can see some large increases, but
Yeah.
I'll spoil this fun, but we still have very low rates comparatively to folks around us, but Scott's done a lot of research on that.
Yeah, even talking, reached out to Temple, their fees were extremely low, and I questioned that. And right now they do not even do the taps. They have, even if it's a lot in town or such, they have a contractor. They have to call a contractor. The fees that we would charge, even looking at it in this manner, would be relatively low compared to even a contractor. And at this moment, the only thing we're trying to do citywide is just capture that cost, not.
Just break even.
That's it. No profit here. We would always be pro customer. So, I mean, always do what's best.
Thank you.
The Temple has somebody go put their meters in for them? Each pay,
Yeah, the contract.
the developer pays the contractor?
Yes.
So while they're not outside meters, their public works staff are doing other things, public works.
I'm not gonna comment on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had one of their contractors on Lake Road today installing a meter for. Too soon, sorry.
Moving along. Contractor installed fire line taps, increasing from $200 to $300. And then adding the contractor installed water or fire line tap inspection. That's a new fee at $300. Increasing meter rental for our fire hydrant meter rental from $100 to $350 per month. Bulk water cost, charging currently $4 per 1,000 gallons to $5 per 1,000 gallons. And relocating the meter would now be proposed at $100. And I would like to turn this over to Mike Rogers right now.
Mayor and Council, on the water rates that you see there, the red option 1 is what you saw at the budget workshop. Since that meeting, Councilwoman O'Banion asked about addressing the lower earners in our community. What can we do for those that have difficulty with an increase of even $1? She'll speak after. But what I'm proposing for you is an option 2, which is in green. And in that option, the 5/8 inch base rate does not change. It would remain, and that's 90% of our customers. And then by increasing the other rates, as you see there in green compared to the red, it's revenue neutral to the water and sewer revenues. So you're going to move on to the next one then? Same here. Once we looked at base rate, I decided to look also at the volumetric rate. Could we make it to where even that lower tier to 5,000 gallons, we could leave that at 395 instead of increasing to 394 by increasing the commercial or non-residential rates that you see there at the bottom, 10 cents higher than what we're proposing, and that would generate the same amount of revenue in that scenario. So again, this is really a red versus green, and how you feel about either one of those options. For the water and sewer budget, it's revenue neutral. Each of these raises about the same amount of revenue for the fund.
So
no changes to that one from what we proposed initially.
So back to the non-residential rate as 430, it's capped. It looks like we have citizens that are over 10,000 gallons that are paying more than non-residential commercial users. Are they typically high users of water, or are these like, I don't know who a non-residential
No, that's all your commercial.
Yeah, I know,
essentially
but I don't
outlets in
know.
Commercial.
But I don't know, are they these high users of water or low users of water?
Generally high users, not it depends on what it is. Your average commercial will not use much water. Apartments also fall under that category and they will use a lot of water.
The reason I say that is it's probably unfair to our citizens that are paying 50% to 70% higher than commercial for using the same amount of water. I see a disparity in the above 2,000 and not having the tiers because, anyway, but I don't know the data on how many users. It just seems, it just intuitively feels unfair.
And we had that discussion.
Residential user,
Yeah.
use water.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, you need to, if there's a rock quarry that's, tearing through water, they should be paying a higher rate than someone using 2,000 or
Yeah,
a car wash or a golf course, whatever, what you want to say. But I think there should definitely be more tiers in the non-residential.
Yes, so when we did the rate study back 3 years ago, we kind of had the discussion on this structure. The reason why those commercials are the way they are is essentially whereas a residential can control their consumptions to some extent, the commercial entities, say like a restaurant, can't. And so, I mean, they've got to have sanitation there with washing dishes and stuff like that. So anyway,
Yeah, it's.
I'm revisiting a utility rate
Well,
study.
I will say that the rate study that was done was probably not the best rate study we've ever done. And because it's not the best rate study, every year that goes on past that study, it becomes more obvious it wasn't very good. And so we did not have a good rate study. And we're seeing right now a compensation of those of us who are trying to keep our grass alive that are now finding ourselves over 10,000 gallons. And a car wash is paying for 30. And it's wrong. And I think that if we're going to go through rate study, that's good. But we still every year have to approve the rate, whether it was in the rate study or not. The rate study was a good idea or a bad idea. This year's got to be this year's idea.
Keeping water in the soil.
I just think and I like Councilmember Albanian's leadership and say, hey, we can't continue to pile up on our lowest socioeconomic group with dollars and $10 and $40. We just can't. And I think this is a good thing. Honestly, I think our businesses get revenue for every gallon that they sell in a car wash. They get corresponding revenue for that. They can pay for it. Anyway.
Can you go back to the meter size? Yeah. I'd be interested to know what increasing the commercial volumetric rate would do to this slide as far as revenue goes.
I could play with any scenarios you want. What I tried to do with the base rates is make changes within the base rates themselves that was, again, revenue neutral, the revenue that comes from the base rates. The reason you want to do that is because our debt service, 60 to 65%, I think, of our debt service payments come out of those base rates. And so because you're going to recover that revenue because it's a base rate, that's stable income to pay stable debt service. If I completely said, okay, no changes to this, and then push it all to volumetrics, I can certainly play that math and hope that everybody uses the same amount of water that I expected them to for that debt service reason. I mean, but yes, we can play with any scenarios that you might want to look at.
So base rates fund the infrastructure, and volumetric more or less is the amount of gallons we told CID we're gonna buy, or in theory, right?
So base rates pay for a lot of your fixed costs. So you have your debt service, obviously. You've got some sunken employee personnel type costs that go into that base rate that's captured from the base rate. And then you have, on your volumetric side, you have a lot of your variable costs that go along with that. Like you're paying for your water purchases through the volumetric rate. So obviously then if you're not expecting a lot of volume, you don't have to increase the rate, volumetric rate, that sort of stuff to pay for. Because you have that cost on the other side. Option B or option 3 that I didn't have here. If you want to simply say, let's just not change it for FY26. That's certainly, we can also do that if you want. The change there to our revenue in our budget is about $400,000. If you just wanted to not have any rate increases at all for 2026, and then we revisit all of this rate study structure all together, let's go back to flat rates because that's just easier. We can do all that decision later if you want. I mean, that's option 3.
I don't like option 3.
Yeah, I don't like option 3.
No.
May not be the best plan, but it's plan.
I also seem to recall that we got a rate study done and then the 7 of us rewrote all the results from the rate study that we had. So I do feel like we've sort of set ourselves up for
continue
having to sing the second verse here.
I think option 2 is the best option presented. We can try to get to the perfect. We're never going to get to the perfect. It's just, I think on the fairness, everything that is fair is not always right, and everything that is right is not always fair. And so we're getting into that here with water rates, and it depends on how much I pay per month, if I think it's fair or not. And if it's not fair, then obviously it's not right. That being said, I think option 2 is a really good option to address the fairness from Stephanie's perspective. I think shaving money off of that and revenue off of that is the right thing to do. I also think that keeping commercial capped at our lowest residential rate is the wrong thing to do. I don't know what the answer is, but I think keeping it at $430 when residences are paying $6 is just not the right thing to do, because they are for profit and a residence is a cost.
And somebody paying $6, that's probably on a sprinkler system as well, not their main house line.
Yeah.
So they've set that up to try to save some money, and then they're really getting gouged if they use it.
So you put them.
The only other thing I'd say is back on the base rate. Well, and this, if we go with proposed option 2 on the volumetric rate, we've tried year after year to keep the lowest user their cost as low as possible, to the point that I think it's been flat for several years now. Just going forward, I don't know that it's realistic to expect that to be flat forever.
Yeah.
I think at some point we're going to have to be okay with going up $1 at a time or whatever it is on that. So while I think it looks like we can do it this year, I don't think it would be reasonable for the 7 of us to expect that that's going to be that way in perpetuity.
And if you really want to help folks who need it, those individuals are probably using 2,000 gallons a month, widow at home by herself and not using a ton of water. So I think going up on the 2,000 to 5,000 instead of trying to lock it into 375, you might have some more flexibility there.
Yeah, I'll add a couple comments just because I have had a lot of conversation around this. It's so difficult and challenging, and I agree with you, Dave, 100%. We can't probably, can think that this could go on flat forever. But, just looking at the data, and I've shared data with you all about just data that I work with for my paying job, that, there's 43% of our families in Belton cannot make their ends meet, and they're working. So, and when you look at our 211 calls, which is the 24/7 help hotline, calls to Belton A large portion of those utility calls are for help with their water bill. And then Mike had shared with me too that according to the records, as of June, there had been as many shutoffs for non-payments in the city of Belton as there have been for the entire years, the year before. So you see, I think we all recognize there's a struggle, and my point, and I appreciate David's comments too, is that just if there's a way for us to have there's so many other things that we have no influence over. If we can influence helping those families not have to find a dollar they're not going to have, then I just would like us to be aware of that. And I understand that it can't be flat forever.
Now we'll move into sewer rates. A city installed sewer tap, we're going to the materials plus 10% plus equipment and labor. The cut-in tees for an existing line on the irrigation meter, base fee plus cost of meter plus 500. And then there's no changes proposed in the sewer rates from option 1 to option 2. Anything wrong with that? So there's no action other than the discussion that we just had. We were seeking consensus. I think that we've been given that. We'll have a public hearing on September 8th and adoption of the fee schedule is scheduled for September 15th.
Well, we kind of popcorn that all the way through. Are there any other, now that we've gotten to the end, other comments about the general or specifics?
I just had a couple I was taking notes on. The blocker truck fee, I just don't, is that saying if there's anyone, say they have a flat tire on the side of I-35 and a blocker truck comes, they're paying $300? Okay, what is the blocker truck fee?
Insurance.
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
When do people get charged that?
They get charged if they're not citizens of Belton. It's for on the interstate, and they'll get charged that fee, and it'll be processed through their insurance. We turn it over to a company, I believe, to recover that through their insurance. But
Okay.
it's not for Belton citizens.
Okay.
Even better. Same thing, like there's a ladder truck fee, there's a engine fee.
Insurance bill.
We've contracted with a company called Fire Recovery USA.
Yeah.
And we provide the information to them for an accident. That group then charges the insurance to the person who had the wreck or who's responsible. And then they collect and remit the fee back to us. So that's purely pass through insurance.
It's insurance. Basically. Yeah.
Well, but I'm glad to hear it's not citizens, because I would have had an issue with that. So
Were you done?
I had a couple others.
Go for it, sorry.
The commercial site plan fee that you had, can you go? Yeah, the 150 to 1,000, that's a really large increase. Well, what's driving that?
Councilmember, we found that we were undercharging significantly for that, and this is for commercial development. So we surveyed around that area. We found that the fees were anywhere from $1,000 to like $7,000 for a site plan review, and so we're suggesting that we jump it to $1,000 in an effort which all our fees are designed to incrementally try and recover the costs of our operations. That's with $1,000.
And so this has nothing to do with the size of the project or anything. This is just flat. Anyone that comes for a site plan review, they're getting charged this.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm just not a big fan of increasing that. I mean, I'm not a fan of
Commercial.
increase.
Commercial.
It's a commercial site plan.
I know. I don't like increasing fees on businesses. You know.
So HEB's commercial site review is the same as a taco shop review.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then could you go to the New commercial versus new residential per square foot. What is the reasoning for having those two different? Why is commercial getting charged more?
The, are you asking about the, construction permit fees on the top?
Yeah, on top.
Yeah, the 19 cents. It's typically more involved. As far as the inspection is concerned, it's not as simple as a residential, inspection. We put more time into that. Just a larger facility typically and more complicated.
ADA requirement, there's lots more requirements, commercial and.
Yeah, there's more inspections and more man hours.
The civil engineering review, how, I mean, is there? I mean, it just says actual cost, but what, can you give us an idea of what that is? I don't.
Yes, sir. We, for both the civil engineering and traffic impact review, it's about $200 an hour, something like that, $220 an hour. And so to give you an idea of what the cost might be, you know, a typical project may incur about 6 hours worth of review on both sides, for traffic as well as engineering. So it's about $1,300, something like that.
Okay.
Of course, for larger projects, it would be more. For smaller projects, it would be less.
So for just one commercial project, you're paying the new commercial construction fee, you're paying a building plan review, a civil engineering review, a traffic impact review, basic building permit fee. You're paying all that on just one project.
And Luke, certainly we, from manager's chair, we also had some similar questions when we saw a lot of new fees come along. I will say that we haven't been charging for any of these fees, and that's what's unusual. Rather than implementing the brand new fees that you're seeing, we're trying to, again, capture those costs. So when we send something, the Bearden Group that's going to build the light industrial, we talked about the drainage, right? That's going to take incredible amount of analysis that will take to make sure that the neighbors aren't affected. And the engineer puts in recommendations, their team will include them in plans. And so there's a lot of back and forth right now. The city's eaten all of that cost to date.
The city's not eating it, the taxpayers.
Sorry, Dave, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, households.
Cities are charging.
Correct.
Households.
And so this, again, in the era, again, I think maybe Scott we'll just steal his phrase, but we're not trying to get rich off this stuff. I think we're just trying to recoup. And that's what when Bob and Tina were able to walk through and explain, obviously a smaller commercial building won't be 6 hours. It'll be a couple hours here for, some review. Maybe a Bearden tract that's going to be a larger industrial, and Amazon, that was a lot. Amazon goes back and forth a lot on those sizes. So,
Well,
yeah.
and when we say actual cost, we're not doing the review.
No.
Somebody else is.
But also
They're-
our staff are doing the other reviews on the other square footages that you're seeing, but it also goes to a third-party engineer. So when Tyler Ridge comes in, there's a traffic impact review that goes forward.
And it also depends on where your street is. If you're downtown Belton and you're not really impacting anything on drainage and you're not impacting roads, you don't need to pay those fees because it's not needed. But if you're at the jug handle, it's gonna be.
It's hard without there being a few examples of on your average, on X, on Y, your fees are gonna go up by X% of what you're paying now. It's hard for me to make a judgment.
We can absolutely get examples. We got them on the labor cost for public works. We can easily get them on this.
Sure.
So we'll make sure you have them before the next.
Small, medium, large, we'll bring back several.
Okay, thank you.
You good? One of the items that I saw in there was the parkland dedication fee, or the fee in lieu of parkland dedication. We've been at $200 per lot for 20 years. There's a recommendation to go to, was it 250 or 250? Georgetown, I think, is at almost $800 on single family one lot. Colleen's at $1,200 on a single family one lot. I think we're I think we're substantially low on that personally. You know, we just adopted a parks master plan that talks about all the great parks that we have and ways to improve them. And I don't think that the goal of increasing that fee is to make the developers pay for the parks master plan, but I don't think that they're when they write the $200 check, I don't think that they're contributing enough to account for the impact that their new development's going to have. So I would like to see that quite a bit higher than 250. I don't know if anybody else has an appetite for that.
I agree. I think it needs to be, and some of the discussions that some of us have had. I think one of the challenges, if you go to $10,000, well, then they're just going to dedicate this little quarter of an acre and say, there's your park. And then we have 500 parks that are not useful and so I think what we need to do, and I'll just use some of the developments that we're seeing down around Miller Heights. We acquired a new school. We're looking at new park there. We've got a lot of the safe routes to school sidewalks that are already going to there. And so I think kind of forcing their money to go into regional parks instead of having 500 individual parks. So I think we need to go up on it, but we also need to probably modify our regulation so we don't end up having to manage 500 small parks, but they go to regional parks.
Or you can do an HOA park where they're managing it. And mowing
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's right. So I think that there's some things that we could do, but I agree. I think, yeah, I agree. We should go up on that fee.
I'm gonna throw just one real quick. This is gonna be super petty when I say it. But
That's
the
so petty.
contractor registration, that is just a paper they fill out to be able to pull a permit. And the only reason I heard for it is because everybody else was at 80. I don't know. It seems there was good evidence for the rest of them, but I don't know. That one just
We also review insurances and those.
Okay.
kinds of
there's more to it.
there you go. That's what I was looking for. All I heard during the was
Yeah. And
everybody's at 80.
Trying to
Good
show you, there was that we had looked at other cities. I
Okay.
didn't say that very well, but.
No, you're good.
Well, there's so many.
I know.
Good work. Thank you.
It's a lot of work, and I know it's not done. So appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a fine line between recouping and charging them to where, you know, when Costco, let's say they come to us in another neighboring city, and I really hope it's not our fees. Like, well, you're the same, so I'm gonna go over here. So I hope there's leeway in there from a management side to, you guys know what's best. I never would want to run somebody off just because we have a.
All right, so staff will take these comments. I would suggest anyone who wants to go talk about a particular one that you were interested in, talk through staff about that so they can understand what they're working on. And then you guys will present this back to us at some future date.
The September 8th meeting, we have a public hearing, so it'll be
It will be locked in. Also, the next time you see it, it will be locked in. So now's the time to discuss with the staff. All right. There being no other comments, Stephanie, anything else? Any parting shots on parting words? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just great discussion, and it's a lot of hard work, and I just commend the staff and all the time that's put into all of it.
All right. That's item 20. I don't have an item 21, so we stay adjourned. 8:18. Thanks everyone who showed up. We have a new logo.
Good to see you, Larry Neal. Good to see you, Larry Neal.
Nice to see you, Larry. Thanks for coming.
You just here to observe?
That was a fine meeting.
That was a doozy.
We'll see you next
We
time.
have fun meetings.
Heard of what? A root canal?
Yeah. But I wanted to see what.
Way to stick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,